Hello and good afternoon, Xbox Nation. Welcome to this week's new episode of the Xbox Factor Podcast. I'm your host, Mr. BoomStick XL. And as we wait for Danny to get in here, Infinite Numbers here, Retry from Game Pass _ Daily is here, as well as myself. Folks, we got a great show. We're going to be talking about Jim Lion Ryan getting PlayStation practically the worst deal possible, and I say good for him because that's what you get when you snitch. We're also going to be talking about, folks, there's a lot of controversy in the Xbox community regarding Xbox Game Pass and their new rollout. Xbox Live is finally going away after nearly 18 years in the market, and the tiers have a lot of people confused. Retry, what's up, dude?
Yes.
I mean, you have a lot to say. You are our Mr. Game Pass. Welcome.
Thank you, Boom. Good to be here. What's up, chat? Everyone's getting lively already. Yeah, this topic is kind of splitting again. I feel like this is like almost like a Redfall situation. Like it's kind of splitting the community in half on what we think about what's going on with this Game Pass core thing and just gold dying in general. So we're gonna talk about it. We got some opinions. We got some differing opinions. Not all of us think the same. That's why I hope you guys come out for this. We're not an echo chamber here. We agree on some things. We disagree on other things. But yeah, it should be a good one. Good to see Daniel. He made it. What's up, brother? So yeah, this is gonna be a fun one. It might maybe a little spicy too. So
yeah, I mean, well, listen. One of the things I literally, folks. First of all, we got already 230 people here, which is absolutely astounding. That we're only 2 minutes into the show. I cannot thank you enough for taking the time to be here. And most of the people that are already here are here 5 days a week, which Mrs. Boomstick and I, again, we are unbelievably grateful for the support. It's just been crazy good. And we last week we broke 13K. We're already a pinch away from 13.1, which means we got 100 subs. And that's
congrats on that, by the way.
Yeah,
Boom.
what's that, Bob?
Congrats on that milestone.
Oh, thank you. Yes, thank you so much. Yeah, this is. I mean, listen, we do the work. We of course, would we love to be at 25K, 50K, 100K? Sure. Maybe 10 years from now, if I'm still around, we'll hit that. But if you enjoy the content, first of all, hit the like button because the likes really do help more than you know. And of course, if you're finding the channel for the first time, and that's one of the things that I find to be intriguing, is there's a lot of new names in the chat. And everyone, everyone's welcome, regardless of what console you play on. We would like you to consider subscribing. But Daniel McGee, what I was telling Retry and Infinite Umbra, my God, I feel like we haven't talked in forever. How the heck are you, dude? Daniel, are you there?
I'm doing pretty good.
There you go.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's gonna be yes.
No, I didn't say
You're good now. You're good now.
It's gonna be a good show. Gotcha.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree.
Is everything good? Everybody can.
Yeah, we're
Yes,
good.
we can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you just fine. Can you hear us? Is the question.
Give me a sec.
Oh no.
Back
Internet
out and then
gods
maybe come
are-
back in. Yeah, because if you have
Yeah.
a delay, I mean, it seems to be working fine here. I'll check on YouTube and see what it sounds like. I don't see a delay on my end. So. Yeah, we'll get him back in a second. Infinite Umber, sir, are you back?
Yes, I am.
How you doing? Good morning, sir. How you feeling?
Good morning, Boom. Good morning, Retry. Good morning, Daniel. Good
What's
morning,
up?
chat family. I'm doing all right. I had a particularly spicy thread on Twitter today that I didn't think should have been as spicy, but hey, it is what it is. I know how it gets in the community when we all differ in opinion. My thing is that we should be able to all handle it though respectfully. And I remember the last time.
Oh, shut up. I'm
I love it already. Oh my God.
Yes, that's me, the pony bot. But
Pony bot, number one.
Traitor.
Yeah, it's just that
Great.
sometimes we get contentious around here when we all, you just gotta be pro Xbox all the time.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, all right, like, come on, guys. It's okay to give them critiques when you feel it's something that's out of place. You know what I mean? I just don't overdo it. I don't oversell how I feel. I'm always going to only speak how I feel. I'm never going to feign to feel some way. You know what I mean? And I think some of us kind of get a little antsy like that and like, oh, how dare you say anything negative or whatever about Xbox? And I think we just got to get away from that. It's too sensitive, you know.
You can't win on the internet, Umbra. If you, it
Oh.
doesn't matter what you say, you're gonna piss somebody off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, good morning, Punty, Paul, AFC, my
Shout
brother.
out to Fanto Sir,
Maybe.
who's got a couple of Ponybot things in the chat.
See it?
I love it.
He used them all. He's got like every gamut of
great.
pony.
That's great.
there.
Oh no,
well,
Tim,
look.
Sorcerer, I haven't had a chance to dehoove any of our Hoove brothers, unfortunately. I've been taking out bot parts, unfortunately, from some of our bot brothers this morning, about 4 hours back and forth, unfortunately. But yeah.
Well, listen, we got our first member chat of the day. Comes the way of Drawn TJ. He's been a channel member for quite some time. He says, "Morning, everyone. Please hit the like button. Got to get Take Two and Sega. Yeah, we're going to talk about that because oh my god, poor Dustin Legary.
Yeah, Dustin. Just,
I mean,
oops,
look, I'm going to
stepped in a
say
pile
this,
of poo
folks,
when
and
he
I'm going
said
to be
that one, I
completely fair with you. I am not a fan of IGN. But that does not mean that I have a distaste for everyone that works there because, quite frankly, they have some really cool people, Destin Legary being one of them. I don't know if I'm ever going to work with Destin. I don't know if I'm ever going to get him on the show or not. This show is still very incredibly small. Shout out to him for joining the Iron Lords on what was a record show this past Sunday, 6 hours. Shout out to Randall Thor and, of course, Jez Corden, who put on a show Friday that was 6 hours as well. I'm literally listening to both. I'm taking turns. Shout out to the community who came out to support these incredible content creators. And again, thank you for everything that you do on this end as well. Listen, we're going to rip the Band-Aid right off, Umbra, and I really want you to lead this topic because you know, you said something in the DM. One thing that I have to say is that I get it, folks. Everyone has an opinion, and it's strong, and you're passionate about it, and that's cool. But there comes a point where there's no need for the disrespect because we can't agree. We can agree to disagree and walk away like gentlemen, and that's not what's happening. And Umbra, I really want you. The crux of the conversation is Xbox Game Pass and its 4 tiers. I'm in the belief, and again, this is my personal opinion, I think it is confusing for the normies. I think that it really doesn't make any sense when your second tier is missing something that the first tier has, and to me it seems backwards. I think core and console should be merged. The reason why we're going to take about 40 minutes or so or 30 minutes or so to talk about it is because you don't get change from Xbox unless you tell them that something is not right.
That's correct.
And I think, I'll say this, Umbra, I think the marketing team got this wrong. I really do. I think that you overcomplicate.
I don't think it was marketing. I think it was the finance team, to be honest with you, because they want that money.
Yeah, whoever, the finance team, the marketing team, a combination of the both. Maybe it's everyone. I don't know because I'm not a business executive. I'm a podcaster that's retired. That's what I do.
Where's Jimmy when you need him so he can talk about him being, having his marketing degree again?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's possible. It's definitely possible. But why we decide to talk about this is because it is a hot topic, and this is a conversational podcast. And I think that yes, we're going to get to Lina Khan getting curb stomped once again by the courts. We're going to get into Jim Ryan possibly getting the worst deal PlayStation could have got when people were rah-rahing for this dude. Oh, but that's what he's supposed to do. Boom, he should get a raise. Yep, I don't think that's going to happen. I'll be surprised if everything goes according to Hoyle and their August through November is what I said yesterday on the Xbox Lunch Break special. It's August for Diablo 4, September Starfield, October Motorsport, and then in November they got Call of Duty and Game Pass. It's a wrap. That is it. And they are going to put that Call of Duty on every box. from here to Texas and back,
Insane.
and it's
Call of
gonna
Duty
be
cereal
a freaking
for the
bloodbath.
kids.
But
Super cereal.
let's reel this in. Bro.
So
You have a big opinion. I want to hear it. I think the people want to hear it. And why is this wrong?
Well, wrong might not be the right wording, right? But one thing is most certainly wrong, but I'll get to that as I discuss it. For one, I agree with you wholeheartedly when you point out that there are one tier. It's one tier too many. It seems almost PS plus-ish and not in a positive way. I don't know if it's necessarily confusing, though. I did see some people confused by like, wait a minute, why is this like this? And I'm talking about noted people in the community, by the way. For me, core, I think is fine. I think that's a nice change right there. Right now, you're losing out on games with the gold. However, you're getting 24 games that they say might rotate. I believe. They didn't say how it's going to work yet, so I don't know quite how to quantify
25 that.
Actually 25 games. I actually think they said 25 plus, so they might add additional past there. But
they've already said that they're going to be adding stuff to it periodically.
They will. It said 2 to 3 times, 2 to 3 times throughout the whole year. But what we don't know is it going to be another 25, or is it just going to be like drip feed?
That's
like
what I'm
2 or
thinking.
3.
I'm thinking there'll be a few.
Probably 2 or 3. It probably won't be.
That's what I'm thinking too.
Yeah. Now, if they rotated it out with a whole new 25 or whatever,
that would be crazy.
Absolutely, that would be the winner right there, right?
Yeah.
Now, I don't have a problem with core outside of the fact, and this is the thing too, and I'm going to preface this because a lot of people will say, well, why didn't, so I saw people saying this in my thread, why didn't you complain before? Because I'm Game Pass Ultimate. Ultimately, I don't give a damn about those other tiers in the grand scheme. I'm just being as honest as I can be. I don't care about them because I don't use them. I got Game Pass Ultimate. I got the best, as Daniel would say, baby. So, baby. So I didn't look at those like that and say, this needs to change. Ultimately, I've said this before, and all of us are this way. We are selfish because we are gamers. Only in that sense.
That's what we do.
I'm looking out what's best for me. And when I see that they've changed something in one of the tiers that doesn't add up, it's like, wait a minute, why? So I have to make some fuss about it. I don't think it's unfair of me to say that they've taken away games with gold from Game Pass Ultimate. We've lost a perk. I don't think that's a positive, and I don't think it's wrong to call that out and say, hey, we're losing a bit of value here. Mind you, they've raised the price. Now, the price is not correct. We talked about this already. The price is nothing. That little $1 or $2 hike, that's nothing. I'm not going to ever complain about that. But I will make a little bit of a stink that when you've raised the price on us now for Game Pass Ultimate, and then we're losing out on games with gold. Now, this is the other argument I've heard. Well, games with gold was trash. True.
It was.
True.
It was, and it is.
However, you all remember, and I know you remember, Retri, Game Pass Ultimate used to be the ish. And I know you all in the chat remember this. I remember. Pepperidge Farm remembers. So listen, Game Pass Ultimate wasn't always garbage, guys.
Well, Game Pass Ultimate isn't garbage now.
I don't think it is now either, but because there are some games on there that I never would have thought to look at that they put on there. I was like, okay, let me try it out, and I did like. However, I'm saying if you look at PS Plus and what they're offering with their monthly games that they give you for free versus games with gold, it is a stark difference. So I understand 100% when people say that it's trash now compared. I get that, right? But my problem
did you mean? Sorry, you said Game Pass Ultimate, but I think you meant
games with gold. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That was my fault. So this is my point of contention is this. And I'm going to put a bit of a tinfoil hat on here, but I don't think I'm wrong either. I don't think it's that much of a stretch. I think they purposely let games with gold fall to the wayside. So then when they added these tiers like this and then removed it, not needing to give us that value, thus costing them money, that we wouldn't raise much of a fuss. And mind you, I would say about 80% of the people in my thread saying, games with gold is trash. We didn't lose anything anyway. I kid you not. Well, it was, I'm not want to curse on it's morning time.
It's fine.
I've seen it time and time. Like if you go on my thread on Twitter, you'll see it. And I understand that point of view, but what I have to get people to understand is that's a calculated move by them to make you feel indifferent. I don't feel indifferent. I want my perk that you're taking away from me. And that's the problem, because so people have this, it's either this or that. Well, they're adding all these great games. That doesn't mean that they get to slack on one of these features that they have part of the subservice. I'm paying for the subservice. I should get all those perks that I was promised when it first initially launched. It shouldn't just take it away and there's no value replacement. There's nothing there to to give up for that loss. So and there's no explanation either. It's just, oh, it's gone. Nothing. So I have a problem with that. We should absolutely get that. Now I had a few people, what does they say? A fake concern, fake
outrage.
And I'm like, God,
I hate that. I hate
it's like, why do you think I would just complain for nothing? Why do you think that?
Because it's
pro
fun,
Xbox.
It's not fake outrage
pro
coming
Xbox
from you.
As I am.
It's not fake because it's coming from you, Umbra, and we know you're a stand-up dude. But there
Umbra,
are
we
people who
love
will
complaint.
fake outrage.
Oh, there are. Now
they're out there right now.
complain
They're
here.
literally out
100%,
there
I
right
get
now
that.
because they lost the ABK argument,
Mhm.
so they're trying to
Right.
jump onto anything. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
get it.
Mhm.
And there are some, to be fair to those who say it, there are some who fake concern. I get it. But you all know me well enough to know that not only stand-up guy, which I appreciate, Retri, is that I'm super pro Xbox. Why would I be against them all of a sudden and just start making a
Exactly.
fuss? Let me be on PlayStation side now. We got ABK. Darn Microsoft. Come on. Does that make sense to anybody?
That doesn't.
And by the way, shout out to Ben Kenobi for this avatar I'm using here, this image.
Yeah, it's dope. I'm
yeah,
using it on mine as well. It's
I
really
saw
good
it
work.
Same.
profile. And that's my only thing. My biggest point of contention is the fact that they're taking away a perk. I think that needs to be addressed. I don't care if they give us back games with gold or not, but there needs to be some sort of value replacement there. I don't know what it could be, but there needs to be something. And again, nobody should hand wave this by saying, well, it was bad anyway. Yes, purposely. They made it bad so you wouldn't complain. You don't have to. Well, they're giving you Call of Duty is coming. So what about those who don't care for Call of Duty? Should we be like, well, start liking it? Like, what would be your argument? You see what I mean?
Right.
Eat your
Well, but
porridge and like it.
Right.
What
Argument
people
is
gotta be
don't
saying,
get
Umbra,
Game
is
Pass
What
then.
about the people
Like-
who don't care about games with gold?
And then
You
I would
can't-
say,
you can't hand
don't
wave
use
the
it.
people who don't care about that.
Then I would say, don't use it. So I would say, okay, that's fine. You don't like it. Don't download any of those games.
Yeah.
See, which
Yeah.
I mean,
win-win.
to be fair, I don't know what
me-
the last time I've actually downloaded a games with gold.
I've downloaded
Me
every
either.
one of them.
because most of
I
them
haven't
have
done it in
been
years.
pointless.
I believe it or not, I actually just downloaded one of them today as a horror game. That was on there. I was like, oh, I've never seen this game before, because most of the games I'm like, I already
Yep.
own, whatever. So I was like, oh, you know what? Just for S and G's, let me just download
get
the
it.
game for the last
It's
time.
there for you. Why not?
Yeah.
Give me
See,
everything.
I
I told you, I'm
think-
greedy. I want all of my stuff.
I listen, I don't blame you. I'm gonna say this. I'm an ultimate guy, right? Not personally. I'm not putting myself on a pedestal. I am paid up until June. I think it's June 25th, 2026. So I'm locked in. They got the money, folks. So I'm good to go. Right? I'm not worried about I'm not going to be able to get the whatever's going to be in Game Pass. But we are on the cusp, ladies and gentlemen, of Microsoft acquiring Activision Blizzard King. And I understand that ultimately the draw here isn't Call of Duty. It is a perk. What they're getting with Call of Duty and how now that is the only thing going to Sony moving forward because of the 10-year deal that they signed, when they could have signed a deal that gave them everything. But Jim Ryan wanted to be greedy. He wanted all that, and a bag of chips. And I'm sorry, Jim Ryan doesn't deserve it, neither does Sony. Sorry. But we're on the cusp of being able to see Microsoft take whatever the image for Call of Duty is going to be and slap that on every Game Pass ad you could possibly imagine, as well as the boxes to their both consoles. We're going to see a migration of new people joining Xbox and Xbox Game Pass like we've never seen before.
Mm-hmm.
Here is the big problem. Yes, the normie community, or the casuals, if you will, they are all already conditioned because they're already subscribed to 10 to 15 different services, whether that be Max, whether that be Disney Plus, Netflix, you name it, they have it, right? There's no doubt about it. The problem I actually have with this, and I want to go to Retri next on this, is the confusing aspect of 4 tiers. And the way that the tiers are positioned is confusing. It really is. Instead of going to lowest to highest, you got one that at $10 that gives you online, one at 11 that doesn't give you online but gives you double the games, and then it goes on to obviously people. I saw a lot of people. Well, why is PC cheaper than the second tier, which is $11, but you don't get online there, but you get online for $10 with the PC version, right? And of course, there's Ultimate. This really should have been, I'm sorry, if you own an Xbox or you play on Xbox, there should be tiers that identify as, well, where you're going to be online. That's just the way it's going to be. You don't have to play online. You could probably play some of these games offline, but there should be 3 tiers. There should be the console. There should be at $11. You can charge $10 for your PC and Ultimate. I know, and again, not trying to be Mr. Pun, but ultimately they want everyone at the $17 one. I don't know why you wouldn't be there. That's just my opinion, because the value proposition is ridiculous. But where do you think they went wrong here, Retri?
I am very split on this one. I made a video yesterday. We got to clarify something, because people are losing their minds over when you say it's confusing. We're not talking to you guys. Boom's talking about the person who's never had Game Pass before.
Thank you. Yes.
We're not talking to you. We're not talking to anyone in this chat. You all subscribed already, most likely to Ultimate, right?
Right.
So most people see the value in PC Game Pass and Ultimate Game Pass. Like I've said on my video, I'm paid into 2026, like Boom. But the number of tiers, this ain't done yet, guys. Like, you're all like, oh, 4 tiers. Like, stop complaining. Who cares if it's 3 tiers? There's an ad tier they're looking at doing, and there's family game plan that they're thinking about doing. That would be 6, my friends.
There's one more.
That starts to get really, really confusing.
There's one more.
The ad tier, family, friends and family. What else is there?
They're going to add pony tiers to it as
well.
well. We get to
I love it.
Oh,
the slander continues.
Get to make you drink you some tea with it, Kool-Aid, whatever you want to mix it with. It might be a bit salty though.
Right here.
But yeah.
For me, so I'm a kind of 2 minds of this. I agree with Umbra, sort of. The core is a better deal than Games with Gold. I don't think you can argue that. The games are infinitely better for the same price. It's a change of the name. It's a change of the guard. I'm just glad to see Gold die. We've been calling for that for years. You get 25 good games. They were the list was the list that we know was pretty dang good, but it is confusing, I think, for just a new consumer, someone who's not been doesn't listen to this doesn't listen to gaming podcasts, doesn't go on Twitter every day talking about gaming. Just someone new to this that sees all these tiers. I think it is a little weird that the online multiplayer is on one, but the next tier up that you pay more money for isn't. Even though it's been like that forever. We know that, everyone knows that, but maybe the noobs don't know that. And once you start adding in possibly the ad tier, which will be even lower than this, and if the friends and family plan does happen, we're talking 6 tiers. If all those things do pan out, that is too much. That's too much. That's big time confusion for your average consumer, in my opinion. But all in all, I do think this is actually a good thing, though, because like I said, I wanted Games with Gold was so effing bad, and I don't download them all because they're so bad. I just don't want to waste my hard drive space personally.
But let me ask you though, Retri, and I'm sorry to interrupt your
no, go ahead
and your time, but
go back. This is back
and
forth, man.
Shouldn't we, as Xbox gamers, be demanding that they give us better Games with Gold, not simply just take it away? Oh well. It shouldn't be, to me, in my opinion at least, that we just say, all right, it's too bad. Take it away. It was bad. Mind you, I think they were purposely giving us like quote unquote bad games, lesser games to make us feel indifferent. But
of course,
so my thing, should we be arguing for them to give us better ones?
Yeah, but I think it's
we should always ask.
I think that
we should always ask for better.
We should have been asking, like, people should have been complaining about how bad games with gold were the entire time, because they've been bad.
I mean, we did though. I mean, Daniel, we've been complaining about it for years.
We have been complaining.
It's that. Let's not. I mean, Umber, to your point, let's not pretend. Let's not pretend like we haven't been bitching about games for gold for years. That's why it was so bad. We complained so much that we said just kill it. It was so bad.
Some absolutely did.
Take it out to the backyard and shoot that thing, and that's kind of what they did. So for me, like I said, like I'm like boom, like we're in the ultimate. So I'm more like complaining for other people, and that just on the confusion part. But I don't think this is a bad deal. It's not a bad deal. It's infinitely a better deal for core. It's just for me the confusion of I move up in tier and then I lose my my online play. Multiplayer, which is
you get more games,
obvious play,
right? You get more games,
you get way more games,
right?
Day and date for all the awesome AAAs that are coming, and they're gonna be great. But it's a play to get you into the other tiers, which is smart. All right, they want you to go to ultimate. I got no problem simping and pushing for ultimate because I think it's an absolute steal. I wouldn't touch the console. I would never touch the console version 1. I don't know anybody who had the console version 1 who didn't have gold 2. Now, I don't know a single person, not one. If you're out there, please raise your hand, because I'm curious, like, if those people exist. I know there's some of them, but I just don't see the value when you just put in this much more money and you get so much more. But that's exactly what Xbox wants to do. It's kind of smart marketing. Even if it pisses us off, it works. But
it's true. I mean, look. No matter what you pick and whatever works for your budget, you are ultimately getting a great deal. It's still the best deal in gaming. But I think that when you consider how important, and I know it's not the main drive when I talk about ABK for me, is Call of Duty. I understand that it's king. I understand that it's Blizzard because Blizzard obviously has a legacy with PC. Microsoft is trying to bring those PC people, which, by the way, if you look at the numbers, PC Game Pass was the most successful because people are like, I got to get on this. It's $10 to get all these games. It's crazy, right? But when you have Call of Duty, when you're going to have the marketing to Call of Duty potentially this year, because we knew that they did sign the contract, and we know that there was some revisions to marketing. Jim Ryan said it at court. He does not want to pay for the marketing rights on a franchise that's going to be looked upon as an Xbox game. And he's talking about Call of Duty, and he's right. This whole ABK thing was been on the world stage for over 20 months. So everyone knows that Microsoft is trying to buy Call of Duty. And then when it's finally done, which could be today, could be tomorrow, could be 3 days from now, whenever, next week, whenever the CMA and the Microsoft redo the contract and they sign it, they're officially going to own Activision Blizzard King. But most people, the normies or the casual audience who doesn't get in console wars, who's not going and simping for brands or in podcasts, they're going to be like, wow, Call of Duty, that's Xbox. And I see why Jim Ryan doesn't want to be a part of that, because he's going to be, it costs millions to market. So what does that mean ultimately for us? That means that Call of Duty 2023, whatever it's going to be, is probably going to be an Xbox Game Pass, regardless of what Ryan McCaffrey and Unlock tell you, which they seem to think that there was, it will hurt Sony if it's in Game Pass. And that's the whole point of business, right?
That's exactly what it's supposed to do.
You hurt the other
by
people.
Design.
It's just the way business works. So I didn't get that, but I'm going to bring Daniel in. I got to thank a lot of people because it's been super chats out to Yin Yang. I got to read them. We have a channel, 5 gifted channel Double Barrel Gaming memberships from Eternal Shaddai once again. That is, I think he's gifted like 25 in the last 2 shows. Like, dude, thank you so much for the generosity, folks. If you do get one of these subs, thank the man, because obviously he doesn't have to do this, and it's a lot of money. So thank you so much for.
Shout out to Eternal Shaddai. I always tell him that his name to me sounds like I'm in church. Shaddai, like you start speaking in tongue. El Sharaba Shaddai.
I don't know what church you've been going to.
Oh, black churches.
Well, I mean, maybe it's the church of Lilith. I don't know. It sounds like something.
Bring up to a black church. Yeah, that's what I got to do. Yeah.
You talking tongues at black church?
Oh yes.
Oh my God, I can't.
Been to a black church?
Stop it. I can't.
A bad thing.
Oh no.
Ave Maria. Listen. First of all, again, we have over 700 people here. That's crazy. Thank you so much.
Nice.
Let me get to the super chats. Deadman96 drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, Mr. Boom, love your content and right state of mind of gaming. That's very kind of you, brother. Thank you for the very kind words. I really appreciate that. He says, been a part of your community for about 2 to 3 months and love it. Well, brother, welcome, and I'm glad that you do. Lethal Papa, #1 modder across YouTube, is in here, and he keeps this chat really, really tight. And obviously, we're supposed to have fun, right? We're supposed to come here. This is a family-oriented show. Yeah, we curse every now and again, but for the most part, we're welcoming. Everyone is welcome here. Nothing matters. Race, creed, color, sexual orientation, religion. None of that matters. We're gamers. And regardless of what console you play on, you are welcome to be here. Just don't be a troll and don't be a D-bag, because when that starts to happen, you're out. And Lethal Papa, he bans people on a regular basis. He got full authority because it's hard to do what we're doing. And I'm looking at chats. I have 3 screens open. I'm looking at super chats. I can't monitor it myself. That's why I have modders. And if he gets rid of you, you did something pretty bad, because Lethal Papa is like legit the best modder in the business. Drawn TJ, generous friend of the program, drops a $2 super chat and says, we need Hargeet in here or Zemi. They would know. Zemi Games is going to be joining me with C Money, King David, and 1 or 2 other guests on Thursday's show, which is hopefully we'll have a resolution to ABK by then. That's going to be an amazing show. Black Sausage drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, guys, there's no need to be upset about the new tiers. PC Game Pass has you covered.
I love it.
PCMR. I love it. Jimbo Jangles, our good friend, all the way from Colorado. He drops a very generous $20 super chat and says, hey, Boom and crew, I don't have anything cool to say. I'm just happy to be here. Have a great show. Well, brother, you're always cool, and we definitely appreciate the generosity. Dean Rivera drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, if the deal is extended a few weeks, do you think Microsoft gives a better deal to Activision behind closed doors? Also, Boom, I love the show, bro. Well, thank you, Dean. Definitely appreciate that. I think they're going to agree, right? Because right now, even when they beat the FTC the second time, the highest it was trading was 93.17 or 93.21, if I recall. Microsoft is still paying more. They're still giving them 96.
They're giving them
What's
absolutely that? They're paying them.
So yes, they're. I mean, yeah. They obviously, if the deal was broken or they couldn't get it done, they'd have to pay them $3 billion. I think that all of the stockholders, including the board, they want to get paid. If this thing is delayed, first of all, I'm disappointed.
Sounds like Bobby done lied again, and that was BS.
I will add
just saying
that there could have been a potential. There could have been a potential where Bobby and the
guys board said no, we want out. Yeah, not for a couple of.
Or they could have tried to raise the stock pricing too. They could have tried to do that.
Listen, from what we understand, and the attorneys the attorneys for both sides told the CMA, listen, we really do need to get this done, but we are working with the CMA. The judge of the CAT seemed to really want this deal to get done. It can get done as long as the CMA agrees to the new contract that Microsoft is going to bring. And from what has been explained to me by Everborn Saga, and I'm sure that Foss could back me up on this or Post Up or even Hogue Law, while they're negotiating there and the deal is ultimately going to be signed there, they could close around the world and then get back to the CMA when they, at least that's how it was explained. I don't know if that's the case. I don't think the deal is in jeopardy at all. Everybody wants to get paid, and that's if
That's
it's
happening.
If it's 5 or 6
If you're a
days,
shareholder, if you're a shareholder, would you wait an extra month to get? Yes, you would.
Absolutely.
Yes,
you
you
have
would.
to keep in
Without
mind
question.
they wouldn't really have any foot to renegotiate the price up with, because the only reason that the stock price is
I
up is
agree.
because people think that it's going to be sold. So
Yes,
if they're like, we want more money, and then it falls through, then their stock price just drops
I
dramatically.
agree. Yeah, Daniel's
Like,
right.
So they're
Daniel's
just
absolutely right.
I don't know. It's just not a good idea.
Yeah.
No.
We also have let's see, Highlander 001 drops he drops a member chat. He doesn't actually say anything. Brother, thank you so much for being a channel member for 13 months, brother. Super appreciate that. Michael Mooney, all the way from the UK, drops a very generous £5 super chat and says, so what replaces the games with gold tab in full library screen, mobile game support, or on consoles?
Bro, I hope it just goes away. I hate that I go to my owned games and it doesn't include games with gold. I think that's garbage. I think that now that games with gold is dead, that it's been taken out back old Yeller style, that we should just move all the games that are in that tab into the games, the owned games tab, and just get over it.
It should be all one location to find your games. 100%.
To be fair, they do that because if you're not subbed, you're not going to play the game.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you're not subbed, you don't have access to it. Except, well, I think you have access to the 360 ones, but I also think that those ones have got added to the owned games tab. I don't know. I think they've been planning to get rid of games with gold and probably live for a while.
I agree. That's why I said that's why they started giving us diminishing returns with them.
Yeah, well, they've been taking those returns and giving them to Game Pass instead, which I think is probably for the better.
I agree. I will get to the rest of the super chats momentarily, but I want to hear from Daniel. Daniel, what are your hot takes on the tier situation? Is it confusing or not?
I don't actually think it's confusing, but I think I also have grown up in a world where this stuff is very normal. So maybe for me, it's just not confusing at all.
Because you're younger than us, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, see, I'm hotter and younger and just better, and so
you damn whippersnapper, you
right? Yeah.
No, I think it's going to be one of those situations where you go to subscribe and it's going to pop up all the different versions, and you'll see it'll probably have a very similar checklist to the one that we've been seeing on Twitter, and you'll just see which of these things do I want, and if you're like, oh, I don't have terrible internet, so I don't need multiplayer because it's not going to matter anyway, then you'll go with the console. Or if you want everything, then you go with Ultimate. Like, you'll just pick what works best for you, and then you'll move on. Like, it's a one-time thing, and then you probably just stick with that until you decide to change it. So I don't think that it's particularly confusing, especially since I think the people who are more likely going to be subscribing to these things are, like you said, everyone has subscriptions at this point. I think people have gotten used to having to deal with this sort of thing, and so I think that there's a higher level. Also, I don't think that they'll keep core forever. I think core is probably going to end up gone. I think core will, or maybe it won't be gone, but I think it'll be replaced by the ad tier. Like, it might be called the same thing, but I think at some point they are going to make online multiplayer free, because it just doesn't make sense at this point. Actually, it's never made sense, if I'm being real with you. But anyway, ultimately, I think that this. Oh, now I'm doing it too. I think that this is a good thing. I completely understand where Umbra and people who are more upset with this are coming from, but I also think that they're wrong. Sorry, Umbra.
You're wrong.
Because I look at it and I can identify 3 immediate positives and 0 negatives, right? I look at it and it's like, okay, PC Game Pass gets access to EA Play, so that's good for them. Cool. The games with gold, I know that Umbra would prefer for it to just be made better. I'm happy with it just being fully replaced with Game Pass at this point. Like, games with gold has always been really annoying to me for a multitude of reasons. Even before the games were bad, I was like, I really hate that some of these I own and some of these I don't, and it's just really confusing. And then my library gets all messed up, and I want my stuff organized, and I hated it. I've always hated games with gold.
But if you're sub, that's not going to really matter to you.
Yeah, it does, because it goes into 2 different tabs and it's disorganized, and I don't like it.
What's your
OCD?
OCD
I'm right there with you, Daniel.
Yeah.
I don't
get it. The organization of it.
No, on my list. That's all.
Yeah, but that's not reasonable. Your OCD is causing you.
It's reasonable to him. It's reasonable to me. I'm with you. I'm with you, Daniel.
Look, hey, I want it all together. I want it in one place. I want it clean.
I'm gonna start calling you Monk. That's what I'm gonna call
fine.
you.
And Games with Gold,
that was a great show, by the way. What a great show.
It was a good show. And Games with Gold hasn't been good for a very long time, and I know that the thing is like, yeah, they've been doing that on purpose, and they probably have to some degree. But I think also that it's just that they've been focusing more on Game Pass, and Game Pass is just a better deal across the board. So I think if you're looking at it in terms of like, oh, I can't believe they're taking this away from us, it's just that they're giving you something better somewhere else. You know what I mean? And so I think that's fine. And then the biggest positive that I see is that now they're sort of taking the dumbest consumers by the hand and being like, hey guys, I just want to make sure that you understand that you're hoeing yourself right now, because there are people who have been paying individually for Game Pass and for Xbox Live. And they've been paying both of those subscriptions separately for no reason and overcharging themselves like an absolute idiot. And so I think by making it one thing and calling it all Game Pass, you can look at it and be like, okay, well, I can only pick one of these tiers. If I want both of these things, then I should get Ultimate, which was introduced originally as a way to save money. I don't know if people remember that, but when Game Pass was introduced, you did have to have both of the subscriptions. You had to have Live and Game Pass separately because that was the only way it was. And then they brought in, and you were paying like basically double. And then they brought in Game Pass Ultimate, and they're like, well, why don't you save a little bit of money and get this instead? And I think probably most of people who are paying attention to what's going on immediately jumped over to Ultimate because it just makes sense. You're getting everything that you want. You're getting it cheaper, and it's one charge on your bank account, so you don't have to worry about like, oh, my email is out of date for my Live, but it's not for my Game Pass, and like all that nonsense that we run into with all these subscription services, right? So I think that putting it all in one place under one name, even though I think Game Pass Core is a stupid name, I think that putting it all in one place is a good thing, because then you can look at it as one complete entity and be like, okay, which of these things do I actually want? Which of these things do I not want? If you don't want multiplayer because you have like data caps or I don't know, and you're not going to play online anyway, then you can just get console. If you don't care about Game Pass and you just want to play online, then you can just get core, right? Like there's an option for everybody. And I think that that's really valuable. I know that for some people that's going to be confusing because there's a lot of different tiers and maybe they need a better naming system for it. But I think having the different options for everybody's different use case is necessary. So the confusion might be for the better. It's one of those things where
you don't think it's going to be information overload when it gets to 6 tiers and grandma is like, I don't know what to do.
Well, yeah, but grandma's not playing, so it's fine.
No, but she might buy it for Johnny.
Grandma's going to ring up.
Johnny, there it is, making the rounds.
I got you, core, baby. Grandma, I want a Game Pass Ultimate.
Like, what the hell? Yeah, what the hell, Grandma?
What the hell, Grandma?
Look, if your grandma's not ready for Game Pass Ultimate, then you got a bad grandma. Full stop.
Actually, they said it's the best.
Yeah. Look, if grandma's buying you your subscriptions, first of all, that's really weird. Because it's like a recurring payment, I guess. So it'd be on her credit card. I don't know. It doesn't make sense.
She's a good grandma.
That's a great grandma.
Then she should get you Ultimate, and you shouldn't have to worry about it if she's a good grandma.
That's true.
Hey, my grandma used to play games too. I'm going to be honest with you. She played some of that Centipede and Millipede.
Yeah.
She's not playing that on Game Pass. She's playing that on her Nokia 2600. But no, it's basically a lot of the problems that I've seen coming up are things that have always been a problem. Like I think that like this isn't new issues that people are raising for the most part. They're like they're getting rid of Games with Gold, but it was bad. And it's like, yeah, it was already bad. It was been bad for a really, really long time. We've been complaining about it. This is their solution, is to replace it with this other thing. It might not be the best solution, but it is a solution. Or wait, I can't believe
what are they replacing with?
Making you pay for multiplayer on console, but not on PC. And it's like, that's always been the case. And it's always been terrible. Like that has sucked the entire time. I hope that people who have been complaining about it on Twitter have been complaining about it before, because this is not a new thing. I don't know if people didn't know that or something. But yeah, the fact that you have to pay for multiplayer, and Xbox was the one that started this trend. So like, so give them 100% of the smoke.
Well, see, there lies
they've been
the rub,
doing it
though,
for so long and with such a high level of success that PlayStation and Nintendo followed suit. So like the entire reason that you have to pay for multiplayer on console is Xbox's fault. And I do think they'll be the first people to back down from it, because now they have this other subscription service that's going to be doing a lot better.
Once they get enough Game Pass subs, I'm sure they will. But my point, my argument is, what are they replacing Games with Gold with? We're getting nothing.
No,
better
they're replacing
games.
it with that
You're getting
library
way
of,
better
of
games.
25 games.
No,
that's
you were
gonna
already getting
continue
those
to,
games
increase.
regardless.
No, you were not.
Yes,
you were not getting.
absolutely were
that was
getting
not
those
happening.
games. They're
No,
not.
Not
Guys,
to that
let's be
caliber.
real
Give me
here.
a break. Oh my
Give
God, Umbre, are you
Retri,
serious? Did you
cannot
see
be
the
jo-
list?
You must be joking.
You-
You're trying
are
to tell
you-
me. You're trying to tell me.
Wow.
Because the
Okay.
same people argued that online and said, well, they're
Right.
giving you Call of Duty. They were getting Call of Duty.
Well, no,
because they
Call of Duty I
bought
don't think
those
was on the list. Call of
games.
Duty's in Game Pass. I'm talking about the list of 25 that they were like, these are the games that you're going to get with Core.
It's
Those
Core.
ones.
I'm
Right.
not.
It was like-
I'm Game Pass
There was like
Ultimate.
Fallout 4
Oh no,
and whatever.
I'm talking about core, dude. I'm talking about
Yeah.
core
Yeah,
versus,
but
versus
that's not
Game
That's what
Pass.
they're replacing games with.
Oh,
And
okay.
that's
I thought
definitely
I was like, are you
Game Pass.
crazy?
Ultimate. Game Pass Ultimate. Listen.
Yeah.
Let's get something clear here. Microsoft is a nearly $3 trillion company.
Uh-huh.
To tell me that they can't do both, give us a Games with Gold, which was part of the subscription before, and give us quality games inside of Game Pass, that doesn't make sense to me. And I'm not going to
Well,
say
but you're
anything
also-
insulting,
but they
it
are
just
still
doesn't
doing
add
that.
up. But they're not.
Because
They're
you
taking
are
away.
still getting,
They're taking away
you are
Games
still
with
getting
Gold.
that core library in Ultimate. So that you are still
they're
getting
taking
that.
away Games with Gold. You do
They're
not.
taking,
get those
they're
games.
changing it into something new and
No,
better.
you don't get anything. It's just gone. That's a missing.
Okay, so okay, hold on, because I think this is one of those
I know
situations
what
where you
he's
put two
saying.
glasses
I know what he's saying.
in front of a child, where one is wide and one is tall, and they're like, this one's more, but it's the same amount of water. They're taking away Games with Gold. Yes, Games with Gold has had a lot of small indie games and like things that people generally don't care about, and like yes, maybe they were doing that on purpose. Now they're replacing that with this other thing where they're giving you different games for free. In both cases, you still have to stay subscribed to get these games. To me, that's the same thing. The only difference is that it might not be every single month, but the games are better. And it's like, okay, I think I'll take that sacrifice. Because if I'm a new subscriber coming in and I'm subscribing to Core or I'm subscribing to Ultimate, I'm going to end up with a better library. It's the exact same thing that the PS5
That's
started
the argument.
with.
You're not, though.
No, but
you're
you
only arguing
absolutely
that if you're
are.
coming in as a
What are you
core
talking
game.
about,
Because-
Umbra?
Yeah,
I was
but
like,
you
remember,
are-
you
I gotta push
absolutely
back on
are,
that,
dude.
dude, because
What are you
I-
talking about?
That you, Retri, myself, Boom, everybody almost, I'm pretty sure in this chat, are Game Pass Ultimate subscribers. Arguing
Right.
about what Core gives you is irrelevant because we get all of that and more. That's my point. We have nothing
Right,
replacing.
but you
As-
also get it in
okay.
Ultimate.
We have nothing replacing Games with Gold. That's my point.
No, you
He's
get that
saying
exact
what
same
you get
thing
in
in
core,
Ultimate. You
what you
also
get
get
in
that for
core, you
Ultimate.
automatically get an ultimate. I know what you're saying,
Right,
Umbra.
so
You're
what's the
saying they
argument? What
did
if we
take
getting
they
this
did
replacement
take
is what I'm
away
pointing out.
they
You're
did
getting
take
that
away
like-
like crappy
games that
games
they're
from
adding
you.
as a separate
under
thing from
Ultimate.
Game Pass.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Go ahead, Daddy. I'm gonna let you finish.
Because here's the thing, right? If you are a new subscriber and you're coming in, right? The only things that you're getting for Games with Gold are the new things, which have been bad for a long time, right? So you're choosing between this huge library of like 25 plus games that's going to continue to grow, and you're going to get that regardless of when you join, versus every month that you get like two kind of mediocre games, right? And so you get more benefit as you stay subscribed for longer, I guess. But most of the games that they're giving you are things that have either already been in the service or games that are just like not great. So they are replacing it with this other library of like these 25 games. And I don't remember all of them. I remember Fallout 4 was on there because I was like, oh, weird. And I think maybe there was like a Gears. I don't remember what was in there.
I think there was Gears 5 was on there. I think there was Halo 5. It was State of Decay 2.
We don't know all the 25. They didn't tell us all of them yet, but there was some decent.
Yeah,
It was
so
a lot
I think
better.
if
It was a
you're,
lot
if you're
better in
coming
Games
in
with
as
Gold.
if you're coming in as a new subscriber, you're absolutely getting a better deal with this new library that they're giving you, as opposed to the mediocre stuff they've been giving you before. And yes, I 100% agree with the argument where
There
it's
I
like we
agree.
should have just been like we should just ask for
100%.
Games with Gold to be better. And it's like, yes, I 100% agree with that. I think you're absolutely right. But I also think that this is better. So even though it's called something different, this is just a better Games with Gold. Like this to me feels like
it
they
is
are making games.
no.
with
I
You're
know what you're
absolutely
saying,
correct.
bro,
with
but for
Core is
you're talking
absolutely
for
better.
Ultimate. You're
I'm
talking
talking for
for
Ultimate.
specifically Ultimate.
Specifically,
that the
because that's what
Ultimate
we're
they
all
did
subscribed to.
technically. I mean, Umbra in this technically he's not wrong in the sense that they did take something away without giving you because
replacement. There's no value.
they did take away the
I think if they called
but
that
you're arguing
library
about
of
them
24
taking away
games, Games with
crappy
Gold, it would be
Games
the
with
same.
Gold
See,
games.
that's the argument.
though.
See, that's what I just said,
Yeah.
Richie. And I prefaced it so that I knew that was going to be the argument. Well,
Right.
they were bad. Yes,
They
they
were bad.
purposely made them
They
bad.
were, but
They
yeah,
purposely made them bad.
Right.
I just
So if we
can't do anything
we have
about
this
that.
gold,
We
yes,
complain-
we can. We could complain.
we
until they
complained
said
about
they-
it for
they
years.
replaced it.
we already
They
did that,
replaced
and it didn't do it, and they didn't do
it
anything.
didn't do anything. Yeah,
Didn't do anything.
This is why
We did it for
Like
years.
Andy said, we complained that these are bad. When we banded together to have them return that price back from the
Yes.
price hike they did, we all did that in unison. and they did it in 8 hours.
That's true.
If we would have did the same,
but I think ultimately
they would have done the same.
I agree with you in that. If I mean, there was people in the community complaining. There probably just wasn't enough people complaining for it to move the needle.
And I get why, because some people are indifferent. But my whole point of it is to say, if they can give us excellent Game Pass games and selection and the whatever they put into that, right? You're not going to convince me that they can't give us good games with gold a month. PlayStation
and you're not going to convince
Xbox
me and Danny that this isn't a better deal
overall.
I join you guys' team because I think it is a better deal. I think that ultimately games with gold is, it hasn't been good for not just a couple of months. It hasn't been good
for a long
years.
time.
It's been bad basically since Game Pass started, because that's where they put their focus on instead.
It went for a little while. It was still all right. But you could see it decline real quick.
You could definitely see it. But my entire point is, we know, you have to know that was a purposeful thing. So
100%.
Just like
I
you said a minute ago, they were already
planning
to do what they're doing here. Yeah. So my thing is,
I don't disagree with that.
Why does it have to be an either or? Why can't we get both? That's my entire point. I don't
because they're moving.
At the end of the day, I don't care.
Yeah,
that's for me. I just don't care. Like it was so bad. I didn't care that it. I understand there's a value proposition.
If you take away the point of it being bad, if they gave us quality games in there that are yours,
but they weren't going to
see. That's what Game Pass is for. That's why they're ultimately moving away from it.
I don't. Right. I understand there's a value proposition taken away. I just don't care because that value was so bad. It was pennies to me. It was not worth my time.
See, you're arguing on what they did give. I'm saying what they should have done. So if they would have given us the proper games with gold, like they used to,
I agree with that. Though.
That's my
we don't have a time machine.
At that point,
that's my point. I'm saying to you, then, I'm not saying give a time machine. I'm saying make corrective maneuvers. So in other words, it was bad. Give us good games with gold, or replace it with something worthwhile. Since you're taking away a perk, it should not be okay. Well, just take it away. But I'm paying you more though.
Right. I think it had to go away because they need to make it unison. They have to make it one. My only complaint right now is the fact that there are 4 tiers when there really should be 3. I think core and console should be merged, and I think it should be everything is online. You whatever you pay for, whether it be core and console, call it whatever you want to call, $11, $10, whatever it is. $11 a month, you got $11 or $10 on PC, and you got Ultimate, and then what it makes what I think it would do is make it easier for someone to be like, well, wait a second, if I'm going to pay $11 for a limited of, let's say they converge the two, instead of having 100 games and 25 games, they make it 50 games, and they get that, and they pay their $11, whatever it is, and you still have your online, but you don't have this wide range. So I should go over to the $16.99 because it's only like $5 or $6 more, and I get everything.
Well, that's exactly why Ultimate was introduced in the first place, was as a merger of what is now core and console. It was introduced specifically to be like, you have these 2 separate Xbox subscriptions, we're going to make them one subscription.
Yes.
And so you saying that they should merge them is like, they agree, and they just made that a separate thing. And I think that the only difference, and it is a little confusing, I concede to that. But I think that there's a lot of people, like, you can't just get rid of core, you can't just get rid of console, because I think that there's a lot of people who want to just play online and don't care about Game Pass, and vice versa. And so I think you do need to have those different options for different consumers and different use cases. Maybe there's a better way of presenting it, but I think you do need to have the different options.
I'm just glad that core is still $60. I was worried because we heard about this rumor, but we didn't know at that time that the $60 annual deal was still there. I'm just glad they didn't take that away, because that would have been bad.
What I would argue though is that shouldn't console also have multiplayer though?
Yeah, but it hasn't.
No one's going to disagree. I don't think anyone's
never been charged for multiplayer on any console.
Yeah, I mean, but
this has been a problem since I was literally 6 years old. Xbox Live launched in like 2002. I was 6 years old. I have never known a world where this made sense. Like, that we should have never been charged for multiplayer on console.
And
that's stupid as hell.
On that argument, just because we never had it doesn't mean we shouldn't have had it.
No, we should have had it
because of PC players, right? So I'm seeing guys say stuff like, "Well, we didn't have it, so why are you complaining now?" It's because we should have, like, to kind of like Umbra's point, going back in time, we should have had it from day one. That PC. This is why some people are jaded that they feel like PC players are treated better than console players, and this kind of lends the credence to that argument. and I can't argue against those people who say that
No,
because
I think the
agree.
only thing that
You know?
I think the only thing that console Game Pass has over PC Game Pass is I think the console library is better. But that might also just be personal taste, because there's some people who are going to be like, yeah, but there's Total War on the PC one. I'm like, well, that's why I have Ultimate.
Yeah.
But again, that's look. I think that what they are trying to do is gradually move people to the best perk, which is $16.99.
No
You
question.
get everything across the
100%.
board. That's what
I
they
do think that
ultimately
core
want to do.
becomes that
I
too.
think that when you add Call of Duty, look, like all I'm gonna say is that if what I said about the next 4 months for Xbox Game Pass and its AAA bangers, as the kids like to say, are August through November, and that includes Diablo, Starfield, Motorsport, and on the creme de la creme of them all, for a lot of people, is going to be Call of Duty. You're going to see a migration at the end of the year into Xbox Game Pass from not only people who are finding the platform for the first time. You're talking about people that are actually going to be like, well, you know something? I have a PlayStation 5. I love my single-player games, but this is too much of a crazy deal. And why should I spend $76.43 to play with my friends because there's crossplay? So I can go and pay, because that's the other thing. There's going to be crossplay between the consoles, and that's why you're going to see some people be like, well, I have all my friends playing on PlayStation, but I'm not paying $76.43. I'm going to go pay $16.99, and you're going to see it. Look, all I can say is that there are no wrong or right answers here. I see a lot of people getting very excited in the chat. Take it easy. It's just conversation. But I do want to read some of the super chats.
But you're right, Boom. I just want to say you would be foolish if you are one of our Who brothers and you see the value proposition that's going to be
crazy.
You'd be foolish to
that's
be
like,
I'm
that's like cutting your nose off to spite your face. It makes no sense.
I actually agree with that. I canceled my God, was it? I don't think the new tiers existed at the time, but I canceled my PlayStation Online, my PlayStation Plus, like forever ago.
That a long while.
Because I realized that the only games I'm playing over there are single player, so it doesn't make any sense.
You know what's crazy?
All I use it for.
Like a moron at the beginning of the year, I paid $120. I resubscribed for the year. And only because I have my saves on cloud, and you have to pay for that.
That's true.
Oh yeah, that's also garbage.
Which is
garbage. I agree.
Again, egregious. Like I have saves. They won't let you offload the saves.
No, can't put it on a thumb drive. That'd be.
I can't put my saves on a thumb drive. They're up in the cloud, which is wonderful. But if I stop paying, I'm shit out of luck, and that's pretty crummy. That's anti-consumer. No one talks about that. But let me catch up on the super chats. And we have Sin Vendetta drops a very generous $10 super chat and says, personally, all 4 tiers of Game Pass are fine, but the only thing I'd add online to Game Pass console. Other than that, it's well balanced tiered service. Yeah, I think that they're not having I don't know. Again, it's just silly. I think they should all have online. Because what happens if there's a game that gets put into like Halo 5? You need multiplayer to play that game online. So they're going to say, oh, but you have to get this and that. See, that's where we get into the confusing part. But Drawn TJ drops an additional $5 super chat and says they need to offer family plan, but for $30. But you get first party games day one and all DLC on Ubisoft Plus. Ubisoft Plus is not going to be a part of the conversation, at least not now. I don't know if it ever will. It would be pretty dope if it was an Ultimate. It would for sure.
I think EA Play might end up getting removed from the conversation as well, because I think EA is a prime suspect for getting acquired by like an Amazon or something.
Yep.
And if that happens, I don't see that deal continuing, unfortunately.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I agree. Fantas Archer drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, eliminate this angle. Are the age restrictions for core and PC online tiers due to the FTC's recent win against Microsoft for collecting data on kids? Probably. That's probably why that there are restrictions. Gamer by Choice drops a very generous $2 super chat and says, IGN, don't hurt Sony. They can't buy reviews. LOL. I mean, you know, like I said, I stopped supporting IGN many years ago. Like I used to even pay for help us keep the lights on, $30 a year for PC garbage that I don't play on PC. They would give me, but I was a fan of their shows. And they really went left wing for me. And I used to be a huge fan of Ryan McCaffrey. Now I'm just not. I don't like the way he flips and he flops. Not a bad dude. I'm sure he's a great person in real life, but
No, I mean,
I
there's
just don't like
a
the way
lot
he
of great people who
reports.
work over at
Yeah.
IGN. To be clear,
IGN has
Miranda.
a ton
Yeah,
of
Miranda.
amazing creators
Yeah.
over there. I mean, as a matter of fact, who just joined Unlocked? He's always
Marcella?
talking with
Khalif.
Khalif. Yes, Khalif
Oh,
Adams.
he
just
joined them officially.
Yeah, he's
Oh,
officially
I didn't
there.
know that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's
Well, I
officially
think
there.
well, someone's not there for a while. I don't know if Khalif's staying. I think he might be staying there for months, but I don't know if he's staying.
Okay.
Yeah, Miranda.
Okay, well, he's a
is
great
taking some
addition
Miranda
because I like
Sanchez,
Khalif.
maybe?
Yeah.
I like.
I got
what he
love
does.
for Miranda. That's my girl there. I like
Miranda's a
Miranda.
great
Yeah,
person as
I-
well.
yeah,
Like I said,
Miranda.
you cannot
Texas
say
native,
that
baby.
everyone is just a bad a reporter. It's just not like that. I just don't like some of their shenanigans, so I
Yeah.
don't support them. And I used to watch Unlocked all the time, and I won't watch it now. And a
You know,
perfect example.
I don't
is
have a
what-
big thing with Ryan McCaffrey, except he put his foot in his mouth one too many times. He just got.
Oh yeah, he absolutely has. Yeah, he absolutely has. But it's fine. King Solomon 86. What's up, brother? Welcome to the program. He drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, random thought, with all of these Call of Duty servers up and running again, the amount of cash players would use to purchase microtransactions will be insane. Yeah, they are. I actually just pulled something from Tom Warren. He literally just posted this today. According to the Verge report, thousands of Call of Duty fans are playing classic Xbox Call of Duty games. And right now the count is, according to more than 100,000 people are online playing the original Call of Duty Black Ops on Xbox 360.
And wouldn't you know, boom.
Good game.
No, as soon as that happened, you saw negative press from these so-called journalists.
Oh, they're disgusting.
Oh yeah, because they put it against Halo Infinite, right? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, Kotaku did that because Kotaku's just look.
Yeah.
Don't pay attention to Kotaku. Just like when you go to get your groceries and you go to check out, and there's the Inquirer about Elvis not being dead. Just walk past Kotaku because they're talking rubbish. So don't pay attention to them. Jacob,
Wait a minute, you saying Elvis ain't dead?
Yeah, I just saw a movie about him. What's going on?
Yeah. I love it. Jacob Novick drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, just finished watching the new Resident Evil movie. I saw the first part with my mom and she couldn't take it, so I finished it today. Good movie. That's awesome. I used to love watching movies with my mom. That's how I got into like a lot of the classic stuff. Like I'm well-rounded. I just don't like new stuff. I watched like Laurel and Hardy and lots of stuff that black and white's like black and white film was what I grew up on. That's pretty awesome, Jacob. Eternal Shaddai drops a very generous $5 super chat. Says, great show, Boom and panel. The super chat is also so you can mute Infinite Umbra for the blasphemy talk about my name.
That's right.
Keep up the good work. I love it.
Yeah.
Jericho drops a generous $5 super chat. And I think they were going to take the money from Games with Gold and put it into Game Pass. I mean, it does make sense.
I mean, that's what they've been doing the whole time. Really,
it makes perfect sense. A Sombretta Nati drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, my gripe is I don't have a PC and I don't use cloud. I'm forced to get Ultimate to play online. Great show as always, Boom. They should do a cloud tier, by the way. I mean, that's
got a point.
It's
got a point.
That's a fantastic point, actually.
Yeah.
Should they when it was such a major point of contention for their case?
Well, they
I don't
wouldn't
think
do
it
it
would
now.
be a cloud tier. I think it would just be called like a mobile tier, and it would use cloud streaming. I think that's what it would be, and so they would obfuscate it in that way, so people didn't know that it was the same thing.
They should hide the name of cloud from here on forth.
Yeah, I agree.
Something else.
Yeah,
Let's
do not use cloud.
Call it core.
After nearly killing a $70 billion deal because of a stupid cloud is just ridiculous. But look, gentlemen, I kind of want to focus on how bad of a deal this is for PlayStation and its players. Jim Ryan, look, I said this yesterday. I will repeat it. This is a teachable moment, folks. Yeah. And I won't curse. It sounds better when you curse, but I won't curse because obviously it's a family show. This is one of those moments, F around and find out. And that's what happened to Jim Ryan. Jim Ryan, I know that there were people that I'm very good friends with that were championing what he did going in. Well, he's got to do this. He's got to, try to break up the deal for PlayStation. And I get it. I hear you. But when you look at the deal that PlayStation currently has versus Nintendo, Nvidia, Boosteroid, and whoever else they're going to have, it is what I would consider a raw deal. And you know what I say? In the words of the great and late Richard Pryor, tough titty. That's what you get. Sorry. Listen, they're only getting Call of Duty, whereas Nintendo is not only getting past Activision Blizzard games, they're getting future Activision games, including Call of Duty, potentially, Diablo 4, if they can get it to work on it, which I don't see that why they wouldn't. Microsoft is working with Nintendo hand in hand on their next console to get their games to run on the next console, which that's already out there. I'm gonna go first, Daniel, on this. Daniel, look, no one knew how this was going to go. We were all on pins and needles. We actually, a lot of us still are, because the deal isn't inked. They beat the FTC, and they didn't just beat Lina Khan. They embarrassed her to the point where some conversations are going to be had in the next couple of months of whether or not she stays in that position. She has lost 4 acquisition merger cases, and she's lost them badly. And obviously, her dirty tactics to work with the CMA blew up in their face, blew up in the CMA's face, and they're handling that right now. But Jim Ryan, if anyone got a shit sandwich, it's definitely Jim Ryan and PlayStation, because all they're getting is Call of Duty, and it's locked in for 10 years. And you know what's even more ridiculous? As much as he complained about, oh my God, streaming service, we can't compete, it has been confirmed by numerous sources that they offered it into PlayStation Plus, and you know what? Jim Ryan and SIE said no.
Yeah, we saw that
expensive.
Ages ago. That was
expensive.
Like 8 months ago that we heard that first thing being offered. It's been ages. Here's the thing, right? I'll go in a little bit on Lina Khan first. First of all,
please, by all means, go crazy.
In the chat too, so.
Oh, that's nice. Hi, Lina. Sorry you lost, but your case was frivolous.
So she's not doing well. She in terms of mergers, she is 0-4, and then there's of course the whole issue of her law license being listed as delinquent, which I don't necessarily know if she needs that to be up to date as the FTC chair, because I don't think she's actually practicing law. I think she has other people for that. But it's not a good thing for sure. It's weird. She definitely got really blown up at the beginning of that court hearing. It seems like, if you listen to the rest of it, that there's other areas where she is doing better. So she might not necessarily lose her job unless they can prove collusion, or if people get really upset with her for any of the other issues she did. I think having her budget cut is probably the slap on the wrist that she's going to get. I don't necessarily think she'll be fired, at least not until there's a new God, what do you call it? We're getting a new election next year, and someone's going to come in with a new team, assuming Biden doesn't win again, and then probably she'll get replaced at that point. But I think that would happen regardless of whether or not she was doing well. So I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, so I don't know. Apparently she's doing well in other areas. I don't know enough to speak on that, but she definitely is not doing well in the areas in which we are concerned, to a degree that is kind of embarrassing. And as far as Jim Ryan goes, I have been hearing since day one that this man is a genius. He's so good at what he does. He was the one who got everyone in Europe to buy a PlayStation. He was the one who did this. He was the one to do that. I see zero proof of that. This man is one of the least shrewd businessmen I think I've ever seen in my life. The fact that he's sending out these emails because he seemingly doesn't know that they're going to be looked through if this ever goes to court, where he's saying, oh, don't worry about it, it's not a problem. He shot himself in the foot. And the people who are like, Jim Ryan had to do this, he had to try and fight this deal. You're right, he did. But he did a really bad job of it. That's what it comes down to. He had to fight this deal, of course, 100%. This is a huge deal. This competitor is getting a huge boost, right? You have to jump in on that and try and do something about it. He was awful at coming up with reasons why this needed to be blocked, to the point where, because he was the only person raising a stink, it brought more of a light onto all of the shady dealings that PlayStation has been doing in the past, to the point where now it's like, if he had said nothing, not only would they have gotten a better deal in terms of having more Activision Blizzard games coming to their platform, but also we wouldn't necessarily have actual text document proof that they've been doing all of this absolutely insane nonsense for the last however many years, right? He has damaged the PlayStation brand. He's damaged his own credibility. He's gotten the worst possible deal he could have gotten on this, because Xbox was going to keep Call of Duty on PlayStation anyway, because it just makes sense. It makes more money over there, right? And, I look at all these other deals that like Nintendo got or Boostroid or whatever, and the wording is very clearly different, where it's like you're going to get all other existing Activision Blizzard games on there. I don't think that means it's going to be everything. I still think that Xbox will probably keep some things exclusive.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
But there's no doubt that they're getting a better deal than Jim Ryan. And that if Jim Ryan had just said nothing, he would have gotten a better deal. He would have gotten a better deal. It would have been better from PlayStation across the board. There is no aspect of him flying to Brussels and doing all this legwork that has proved positive for him or his company. You look at, they didn't announce anything at their showcase because they were trying to not look too strong. And it's like, okay, so now you've hurt your brand even further, if true, which I don't necessarily think it is, but you've hurt your brand even further if you're trying to hide that you're making games like we don't know. Like now we know how much money all of these games cost to make. Like there's so much information that came out of this that we would not have gotten otherwise. And so on some level, I'm glad that he did, because there's a lot of interesting stuff that we learned about it that we would not have. But it's just hilarious to me to see people being like, oh my God, he's such a good businessman. He's so good at his job. He's perfect. Oh, wow. What a charismatic stallion, this man. When you watch him, he can't even come to the courtroom. He Zoom calls in. He can't raise a point. It's a mess. Honestly, I think that the FTC might have had a better case if they never spoke to Jim Ryan, because they wouldn't have focused entirely on protecting PlayStation, and they might have come up with an actual reason why it could have hurt consumers. I think if you stretch hard enough, you could probably think of one or two, maybe. But instead, they talked to Jim Ryan, and he's like, well, it's bad for me. And they're like, works that? Sure. Yeah, we'll go with that. And here we are. Like, I don't want to hear any further talk about like, oh, this man is running the golden years of PlayStation. He's running the golden years of PlayStation into the ground. Sean Layden came in, he turned that ship around. He came back from the PS3. He started them on the track of making all the games that we all love now. And then Jim Ryan came in, has botched damn near everything so far that he's touched. He's switching over to live services, despite the fact that his audience doesn't seem to care about them like at all. It's a mess. It's an absolute mess. And I think it's hilarious that this is how it turned out. I've been watching a lot of Survivor lately. And what this is when they land on the island in day one, there's one guy who's trying to go around and he's trying to make alliances with every single individual person. And then, and people will start talking when he's not around, and they're like, hey, we got to get rid of Jim.
Yeah. You can't trust that guy.
He's playing this game. He's playing this game too hard, and he's playing it really bad. Like, he's being really obvious about how terrible all of his strategies are. We got to get rid of him. And who's the first boot? Who's the first man off the island? Jimbo Ryan. Doesn't make the jury. Doesn't get the free card. Doesn't get nothing. Gone.
I love how Survivor got into the conversation.
Yeah, you're voted off the island, Jim.
You're voted off, Jimbo. You're out.
You are the weakest.
He's the guy where you get to episode 13 and they're going through all the torches and remembering the people from the previous season, and you're like, who is that again? That's Jim.
Oh my,
gone.
So I mean, listen,
I can see him getting kicked off the island now. Oh.
Well, I mean, there is something to be said about this. They got what they deserved. I'm sorry, folks. Like, you can call me a bot, you can call me a simp, if you will, for Xbox. I'm sorry. At the end of the day, you have to understand, Jim Ryan and PlayStation have seen, and obviously he's walking into this kingdom. He didn't build it. This was built by many, many people before him. And actually, the one who doesn't get any credit, I'm glad you mentioned his name, is Sean Layden. I absolutely adored Sean Layden because he was a real dude. He is what he was the Phil Spencer.
Yeah,
he was the Phil Spencer of of PlayStation, high-fiving people, getting out into the audience, getting out to you see me excited, whether he wore his tight jacket or not. That dude was somebody I rooted for because I really liked him. I really thought he was exactly what PlayStation was. Obviously he's gone, and he was booted out in such a terrible way considering what he did for PlayStation.
Yeah, and we still don't know the exacts of that. Like we don't know.
We still
exactly
don't know the exacts on that. He's probably signed an NDA for life kind of a situation where he can't write a book. I wish he would.
They've taken all the people who were like high execs at the time that the PS4 came out and started being really good, and they've sort of banished them to various like phantom zones, right? Like,
Shu is a perfect example of that.
Yeah, Shu's been relegated to these indie deals, which is clearly something that they don't seem to care about anymore, because between the three of them, the big three, PlayStation, Nintendo, Xbox, PlayStation is by far the one who does the least with indies, which was not always the case. In the PS4 generation, they did a lot of really great work with indies. I remember one showcase in particular, they had like 6 TVs that came on individually, and they had the devs of those games playing them in front of them, and they're like, we have a great slew of indie games, and pretty much all those games were great. Like, they really focused on being pro dev and getting these good games,
indeed,
big or small, onto their platform. And now Jim's just like, I only want the biggest games, and he's kind of dropping the ball on that too, because he's like, I want Forspoken, dude. I want oh god, what was the Destruction All Stars? It's like, what if we pick some other ones?
It's funny. Traybone408 in the chat says if Sean Layden was still here, he would be doing service games as well. But
probably.
More than maybe, because obviously it's a thing, right? It's
a trend. It's a trend. It's just a good business.
But I have to say that I think that if he was running the show, he would be the one pushing to get more of their first party. Now, I don't know if he does day and date. I can't say for sure. I'm not Sean Layden, but I can guarantee you that they would be there maybe after 3 months, maybe after 6 months, and never leave the service. Like how Spider-Man 2018 was taken from the service doesn't make any sense when you own Insomniac. Like I still don't get that.
I do want to address one of my good friends, Ty Talks, is in the chat right now.
Ty's a good dude,
and he's great. Love him. But he's saying the PlayStation was originally offered a 3-year deal, and he turned that down, and then it became a 10-year deal. So that's a positive of Jim Ryan, and I can definitely see that. Like that is true. But on the other hand, it's like, are we really giving Jim Ryan the credit for that? Because like, are we also going to say that he got the 10-year deal for Nintendo and Boosteroid and all these other people? Like, I think that was the direction that they were going to have to end up eventually anyway. Like, I think we got to a point where the FTC and all these other places were basically demanding that they offered their things onto other streaming services. And so, I don't think that I don't think Jim Ryan gets benefit for that. I'm not going to give him the benefit of the doubt for turning down one deal and eventually ending up with one that is worse but longer. Like, I don't know. I think there's some.
There were people that were really pushing the envelope. I'm not going to say what the name is. I'm not even going to give some initials because I don't like doing that. Like, you know how I'm very fair like that. I may disagree with some of these very extreme Sony guys and gals. I won't because I don't want anyone thinking,
let me do it for you, Boom.
Well, you guys are adults. You guys can do whatever you want, but I want to go to Retri on this because, like I said, I think that when you look at Jim came literally with the cup. Can I get some more, sir? Like this that's what it really was, because think about where he. And Retri, I really want you to hark on this because this is where the saltiness comes out, and I love it about Retri. Do you remember the email that's now once again making the rounds about what Jim Ryan was demanding? Hey, we're not only do we want, Call of Duty and we want all future Activision releases, but you know what? By the way, because we're number 1 and you're number 3, and you have to bow down to us, we want all of Bethesda stuff too, including Starfield. Wow, the tables have turned from that email to, hey, we'll take the 10-year deal and all we get is Call of Duty. Yeah, okay. Yeah, good for you, Jimmy. Talk about it, man.
Yeah, I mean, Well, we've been saying this for a while. F around and find out, and you found out. So it's got to be really annoying as a PlayStation Plus subscriber, knowing you were this close from getting a bunch of those games into the service, and once again, PlayStation being greedy, thinking their shit don't stink. Excuse my language.
No,
just had to keep poking the bear, keep pushing and pushing and pushing. So they basically negotiated against themselves.
Yep.
Right. You got to realize there's a peak when you're negotiating when it's as good as it's going to get. And I think Jim Ryan's just been number one for so long. He was in his own head, and he thought he could push around Phil. Well, that backfired. Luckily, everyone's now siding with Microsoft. The deal's going to go through. Everyone else is getting a better deal than Sony. But man, if I were a PS Plus member, I'd be livid right now. And I'd be livid at Jim, and I'd be livid at SIE for screwing me over when I could have not only just got COD, which is what I play all the time on my $3,000 PC, but I could have got Blizzard games too. Like, it was there for the taking. Like, the best deal you could ever imagine for in negotiating. And you just put up a middle finger to it. Well, they're lucky they got 10 years. Let's just say that. I knew they were going to give them 10 years because Microsoft promised that. So they weren't going to go backwards on that. But part of me was kind of hoping they would get like a 3 or 5 year deal. But regulators, they want to play nice because as we talked about, like, this is not the last acquisition. So they have to play as nice as possible. So it doesn't look like Microsoft, goes backwards on their word, right? They gave their word to everyone else.
They basically got a written agreement for something that I think we all knew they were going to get regardless.
Exactly.
Like, I think pretty early on, we all knew that Call of Duty was going to stay multi-plat. I think when it was first announced, I was pretty hot, and I'm like, they're going to make it exclusive, but I backed down from that pretty fast. Yeah. Because it makes more sense. It's always made more sense for it to stay multi-plat. And so to have this deal signed where it's like, okay, you can't take Call of Duty away from us. It's like, yeah, well, guess what? I wasn't gonna.
Yeah, well, I'm curious to see what happens after the 10 years, but that's a long time from now, and we're reaping the benefits like crazy. Too bad for Sony. Like, too bad for Sony guys. Like, what's laughable is some of these guys are calling it a W, calling it a win.
How about this, Retri?
How'd you not see what you were gonna get, and now what you got?
That's just
what you got is less, not more.
What you absolutely. But here's the thing: where are the same people that told you buy a PlayStation? Right? Where?
Like I said in my Discord chat today, I said go buy a damn Xbox.
Go buy an Xbox, or
you get a cheap one. You can go buy the potato, right? Go buy that.
No, I'm just saying
you got
that
choices.
Yes, you absolutely do.
Cheap ones too. There's all accesses out there. You can get Game Pass. You can get the the little man for real cheap. So
$199 refurbished on Amazon.
Yeah, come on over, PlayStation guys. The water's fine. It's all good over here.
Door and get on in here. The biggest thing about it is like you said, some are trying to play some type of reverse psychology, talking about a W. No, this is not a W for you guys. Nope. It's a W for us. It's a W for Xbox fans and gamers. What we'll get is it's a W for Microsoft and how it worked out for them, because they'll be getting the best of both worlds as far as having it on PlayStation. That's what they wanted to do all along. So it only went the way they wanted at the end of the day. What is funny though is this, like you said, Boom, that Ryan did what he did, and it basically talked themselves out of having those games up until 2027. So we don't know if they would have renegotiated after that fact and said, okay, we'll continue to allow you get some of these games from Activision Blizzard. Now it might just be the case where you're just going to get COD or an Overwatch, things of that nature, multiplayer based games.
Overwatch will also stay multiplayer.
Absolutely,
of course, absolutely.
Even if they do like an Overwatch
free to play,
that'll stay multiplayer for sure.
Without a doubt.
So that you might just be stuck with just getting that. What's that?
Yeah.
What you're curious about?
I'm really curious to see exactly what the difference between the Nintendo deal and the Xbox or the PlayStation deal is going to end up being. Like, I want to know, because
details,
yeah, because in the Nintendo deal it says, I forget the exact wording, but it's something to the effect of like existing titles, which I think is the same or similar wording to how they explained the Bethesda stuff.
Yeah,
and that was stuff that had already launched on the platform, and so I think that people are assuming where it's like, okay, well, Crash Bandicoot or whatever was already on Switch, so they'll put the next Crash Bandicoot on Switch, and I don't think that's necessarily true. So I am really curious to see exactly what the difference there is. Maybe you need a lawyer to look at the wording.
I think it's case by case. I think it's definitely case by case.
But they also said that the Bethesda thing was going to be case by case, and then we saw the email where Pete was like, "Really, everything?
Everything?" No, you know, I think though, like, yeah, for sure. I think,
but I mean, whatever makes them more money, I guess.
It is.
That's what I mean by case by case.
It is going to be that at the end.
And I do think something like
by case, and I think it's legalese why they have to say it the way they do.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
So you kind of just say it the way they do. So when they change up something, they can do it at the whim, you know, at their whatever behooves them, I suppose. So I think that'll be the case. Like you said, it'll be a case by case thing, but it'll be what makes sense as far as what can get them the most profit. Like you were saying, Retri, I think that'll end up being the case. So maybe Crash Team Racing or something might be on all platforms. You know what I mean?
Is that Crash? What was that game? Wumpa, I think it was called Wumpa League, but then they changed it to, it's like a MOBA basically. Is that already out?
No, it's already out. It did terrible. It did absolutely terrible. So
I was going to say that'll probably stay multi-platform because it seems like it's a free-to-play type game.
Yeah,
but if it's already out, then like, yeah, obviously.
Yeah, and I think so. My thinking is as far as it goes, and it might look harsh now, but Sony might just have the same type of deal at the end of the day that Sony and Nintendo is going to get. You know what I mean? That might just be the case at the end of the day.
I'm curious to see what that difference is. And honestly, there's so much like exciting stuff that I'm expecting to come out of this deal, but I said this in my video, and I think I've said it on this podcast before. A lot of the stuff I'm excited for is not going to happen immediately. Like pretty much none of the stuff I'm excited for is going to happen immediately. It's going to be years. So I'm excited to just continue to cover what exactly this deal means, both for ABK and for Xbox. I think it's going to be a lot.
That's really what I'm most excited about. Actually, I made a poll on not a poll, but I made a community post here on YouTube. However, I didn't know how to turn on.
Did you get the comments working?
I did not. I don't know how to do that part yet, but I'm going to work on it.
I did send you a thing from Google how to do that.
I saw it,
chat, by the way. Okay.
It was the same
thing. You're talking about what? Making a community poll or
no, making the comments available.
Yeah,
in
the comments
community
weren't available
side of YouTube
for whatever reason.
Like people couldn't.
Yeah, I got 16 likes on it, but nobody could comment. So I'm like, come on.
I think you have to go into the community section. I'll go in and I'll rework it for myself, and when I figure it out, I'll just send you a screenshot. A couple of screenshots.
Okay, cool. Appreciate it. Yeah, and thank you too, Retri, for what you sent. But I saw that part, that one too. But my thinking is kind of like not even kind of, it's exactly like yours, Danny. I'm interested in the future. What will these things bring going forward now that they're partnered with Microsoft or owned by Microsoft, should I say? And what budgets they'll get to work on past IP and things of that nature.
Yeah, especially since we've seen the thing that has me the most not concerned, but like confused and interested of how it's going to work out going into it is all those new hires that we've seen. Because when they started, I forget the exact numbers, but they're up to like 17K now, which is several thousand more hires than when the announcement
7,000 to be exact.
It's a lot. It's a lot of new hires, and so I wonder if that's
Ubisoft numbers.
And so I wonder if that's the sort of
redundancies I'm imagining. It's going to be
I do think that there's a high possibility that some of those people are going to lose their job, which really sucks.
I hope not. Also, the one thing we can hope for, into what you're saying, Daniel, people not losing their jobs, is if they do in fact keep it a separate publisher, the same way they did Bethesda, because Bethesda has the same internal workings as Xbox Game Studios, and they did not downsize their jobs. They're still doing their own jobs.
Yeah. The thing that has me really interested with that is I want to see a breakdown of where those people were hired, because I think that's going to be really telling. Right. I think if we're seeing a lot of those new 7,000 hires going into like a Sledgehammer or an Infinity Ward or something, then that would imply to me that maybe those studios are going to continue to make Call of Duty, and maybe some of the other studios will be spun off to work on their own things. Or, are these hires going into some of the more support studios? And does that mean that they're going to turn those support studios into proper studios to go and do something else? So I'm really
be ideal for me.
Yeah,
if anybody love to have Raven Software and such go back to making games themselves, making 100%. Their own games.
If somebody can find a breakdown of where those hires have been going, I'd be very interested to see it.
Yeah. Idle Sloth, get on it, player.
Yeah, you go.
Absolutely.
Just
a
little bit of work.
Jump on it. He always is out
Find
there.
all 7,000 too.
Yeah,
newly
all
hired
7,000 of them.
7,000. But no, and I just think though, just to go back to the main subject at hand on Ryan doing what he do, I think Danny covered it mostly all. Like I think Ryan, for his part, as far as what he had done for Sony, as far as earning the money, you can't deny that, right? But as far as I think on a more personal level on and things like that, Sean Layden was far better in that regard, and I think he was PlayStation's Phil Spencer in that regard, in a way, right? And so I can definitely get that. And he shot himself in the foot and Sony in the foot. So I just wonder how it's all going to play out. We don't know enough to say, oh, this is what it's going to be. Microsoft might decide to stiff them when it comes to certain things going forward. We'll see. So
well, we do.
If I was them, I would.
The one thing that was interesting is we do know for a fact that the current Sony contract that is binding, it is 10 years. It only gets them Call of Duty. That was confirmed by Phil Spencer, and then of course reaffirmed by Windows Central. So they're only getting
also
Call of
Tom
Duty.
Warren too. Yeah,
Tom Warren as well, who's obviously been out on these streets doing his thing. So they're only getting Call of Duty. What we understand, and again, I could be reading this wrong, but from what I read in regards to Nintendo's deal, is they are going to get future Activision Blizzard titles that are outside of Call of Duty. So if they can get Diablo 4 to work on the next Switch, whatever that may be, whenever that might be, they're going to get that. Are they going to get it for free? No, but they're going to be able to get that as well as other things. So again, short end of the stick for Jim Ryan and SIE, and I just have to say in my most slanderous voice, well deserved.
Microsoft has become Sony's biggest third-party publisher. Boom.
So it's funny you make that statement, Retri, because I want to get to a topic that's going to be a bit slanderous for the last half hour of the show, and I'm interested. I like flinging the poo every now and again, so I'm going to fling some poo, folks. But before I start flinging it, I have to catch up on the super chats. Simon Brandy drops a very generous £5 super chat. Says, my suggestion, get rid of multiplayer fee, Game Pass games into service in 6 months, Game Pass Ultimate day and date plus cloud. Yeah, see, it's simplified. I do like that. Drawn TJ says, I hope that they bring back Blur. I was playing Call of Duty World at War. Yeah, it is crazy how many people are playing Call of Duty, but not even like Xbox One Call of Duty, 360 Call of Duty. It's just, listen, you love to see it. Dragon Heart Yobi, a generous and good friend of the, I wouldn't even say a damn great friend of the channel. He drops very generous $20 super chat and says, word on the streets is Microsoft through Activision fixed the servers for classic Call of Duty titles. Guarantee if Sony did this deal to buy Activision, them servers would stay dead. Thank you, Microsoft / Xbox. And 360 is still being supported as well. Yeah, dude, there's 100,000 people playing Black Ops 1 Call of Duty on 360.
Have any of you jumped in on that?
What's that?
Have any of you jumped in on that?
In regards to what? Playing it?
Yeah, playing like the old Call of Duty.
No, I haven't. No, I've been playing Exo Primal, which I'm addicted to like crack cocaine. I love it. Noxus BLD drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, "Boom, brother, bless you, bless up you and Xbox." I can't read this. This is something about Bumbleclot, Sony, and Jimmy. Listen, if anyone could read it, please by all means read it. But yeah, listen, brother. He says Jimmy have F sign the Xbox, and that boy be crying in his office. My belly swell laughing. That's about all I could do. Hopefully, I didn't butcher that so badly that I sound like a knucklehead. But Noxious, brother, thank you so much for the generosity. Highlander 001. Drops a $5 super chat and says, boom, in military terms, what Jim Ryan did in taking the deal he received from Microsoft is called an unconditional surrender. Ponies are not happy. Yeah, I mean, that's that was the only deal that was going to be offered. Either you sign it or you don't. And those dev kits will be coming over as well. We got Retro Gamer 89 drops a $2 super chat. It says Sony screwed Sony in my Vince McMahon voice. Oh my God, I love that. That's great. All right, so I'm going to get to the other super chats momentarily, but I'm going to go first to Retro because he said it. Now, one thing that Jim Ryan confirmed during the court proceedings and during his trips around the world, like Carmen Sandiego, is that the money from Call of Duty was so important to Sony that they funded their first party development. That's a fact, folks. Is it fun to say out loud, and I'm being scandalous here, folks. Is it fun to say out loud, Retri, which I know you can be scandalous too. Is it fun to say that all of the profiteering that Microsoft is going to do on Sony players are literally potentially going to pay for, I don't know, the acquisition of Sega or the next, whatever they decide to buy? Talk about it, brother. Because I see you smiling, you're laughing because it's fun.
I just love that all their most popular games are Microsoft games, are going to be at least Minecraft and COD. The most downloaded game every damn year on PlayStation is going to be under the Microsoft umbrella.
Except the once a decade Rockstar puts something out.
Exactly. Right. Every 10 years, right? So for me, it's nice knowing that they're going to be funding. Thank you, PlayStation guys. Future acquisitions for us, future perks and whatnot.
Sega. Yeah.
So 100%. Yeah.
Well, even beyond that, just like more funding for the games that we're already getting. You know.
Yeah,
what I mean?
that's kind of where I'm with Daniel. That's kind
Elder
of where
Scrolls
mine
6
goes
is going to be
well.
funded by Call of Duty.
That's right. Yeah, exactly.
Think about that.
I mean, it's one hand washes the other, right? That's like a lot of us are like anti-mobile, but mobile could be a good influx of cash, or will be a good influx of cash for other projects, right?
Yeah, well, because that's the big bonus of mobile is that it has a relatively low overhead in terms of everything except staffing, because they have a lot of people working on it. But like actually making the games is a lot cheaper than making like a big AAA game, and so you get that return of investment really fast and really hard, and you don't necessarily put all that money back into making more mobile games because they're cheap, so that money goes straight into other projects.
What I like about that is it allows Microsoft to stay weird. It allows them to take chances. It allows them to make hi-fi rushes. It allows them to do things they normally wouldn't do in a world where Sony is trying to play it safe with gas games. Microsoft making so much money from mobile and from COD sales from PlayStation users will allow Microsoft to get more studios and to allow those studios to like Psychonaut, like Double Fine, to just continue to do the weird stuff they've been doing the entire time. And creativity won't be, squashed, which is kind of what I feel is happening on the other side of the table on the PlayStation side, which makes me happy, and I love the salt. I can't wait till this is done for many reasons, so we can stop talking about it and just start playing the games and enjoying the benefits that we get as consumers, because that's number one. Is I'm all about being cheap, and it's all about the consumers. Number one, right? We reap the benefits of this acquisition and any future acquisition if you're a Game Pass subscriber, obviously, because you're not putting down $70 every single time. That'll be the PlayStation guys' job.
Do we know? Because Call of Duty negotiated a better price point on Xbox. They got the 2080. Did they also get that on PlayStation?
Yes.
I believe so, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do we think that as part of this, it's going to go back to 3070?
Probably.
Because if that's the case, then PlayStation might actually kind of view this as a little bit of a benefit, which would be really, I mean, it would call even further into question why they bothered fighting against it so hard. But like, if you're getting 10 extra percent, you're getting 150% the money.
That's a lot. It's a lot of money. That 10% is a lot of money. So I do wonder. That's a good point. I'm sure there's like a contract that I don't know how long. We don't know how long it is for that. But I mean, if I'm Microsoft, I'm renegotiating the second that contract's up. It's going right back to industry standard 70-30. There's no reason,
without question,
to not do that.
I mean, if I was Xbox, I would keep it 2080 on PlayStation if I could, because then I'm getting 80 and I'm getting 20.
Right. Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah. I mean, whatever makes Microsoft more money. I just flipped that around. Sorry,
it is funny it is funny though when you think of the bigger picture here, Retri, that logistically, and we're not being like even facetious. Like I really mean that Call of Duty makes so much money on PlayStation,
right?
And Jim Ryan made it a business to tell everyone, including all the regulators around the world, how important it is for their funding of their first party games.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't like I said, I think it is the ultimate turn of the tables that now PlayStation players who really do hate Xbox are ultimately going to be paying for the next acquisition. I just think that's
not
hilarious.
only that is can PlayStation themselves continue to do on their first party AAA stuff, do budgets between $200 and $300 million.
No,
like, are they going to be able to continue doing that? If right,
theoretically, they should
so
be
let me be the
same
first to
amount of
thank
money
our
off of
Hoove
it.
brothers. Thank you all for funding our games going forward.
That is
We
true.
appreciate
They'll be
you.
funding the Xbox games, but theoretically, if it's the same split and they're not taking it off PlayStation, theoretically at least, PlayStation should be making pretty much the same amount of money. So I think that their budgets should stay the same. Again, I don't think this hurts PlayStation on any level. I really don't. And then I've never
there's a market share shift. Even if
just
it's a
a market-
5% market share shift, right?
definitely
Even
a market
5% from you is 5% on us, but not to
but it won't
say
be
that's
like
going to
major.
break the bank. I'm not
Right.
going to say. I don't see a mass exodus happening, because at the end of the day, people kind of stick with what they're used to, and that's I think that's helped PlayStation dramatically, just being grandfathered in. Like, well, I'm just used to getting PlayStation, so I'm going to buy the PlayStation console again. But I think over time we're going to see something shift a little bit. But,
I think you know what you're right, and I think people are comfortable with their controller and their ecosystem and their friends list, and nobody.
Well, maybe not the controller because it's doo-doo, but yeah, sure.
No. But some people listen. Some people
He's
really
right,
dig
Misha.
it. Listen, I'm not. I take
Zelda,
the I take the
Tears of
Elite.
the Kingdom collection, and that's what he's talking
Yeah,
about.
your controller lasts an hour and a half if you're lucky. Yeah,
if you're lucky,
you get
but
you get arthritis every time you use it. Yeah, but I hear you.
Listen, let's bring an Infinite number on this. Infinite, obviously, you like to be slanderous, and why not? I think we've earned this victory lap. This is we're going to see a shift. I don't think it's going to be the biggest shift we've ever seen. I think where you're going to see a shift is in new players to Xbox. I don't see there's going to be a huge migration from PlayStation. No one's abandoning their PlayStation 5. So no one is going to do that
yet.
For X. I don't see that happening, but I can see, again, one of the things that made the PlayStation 4 so dominant is because they were the cool system. They were the casual audience console.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that you're going to see Microsoft potentially, when you can put Call of Duty on all your advertising, it's going to sell you boxes, and people are going to be jumping into the ecosystem for the first time. But isn't it? Where do you get that chuckle when you consider that now Sony players are literally going to pay potentially for the next acquisition? Maybe say it's like, for instance, I keep saying Sega because I think that's where they're going next.
Yeah, Sega makes the most sense. I'm not who I want necessarily, but it makes the most sense, right? But my chuckle would come from a few things. One, as I was mentioning a minute ago, is that our Hoove brothers will be funding our games going forward. So thank you all. Now, you had some who were trying to make a protest talking about they're never going to buy another Call of Duty game.
They said the same thing. They said the
Always.
same thing last time about COD, best-selling COD of all time.
Who actually boycotted are really going to make an impact.
Yeah, they always say
people always are like, "Oh, we're going to boycott this," and then no one ever does.
Never.
And the opposite
no
happens, Daniel. Every time cancel culture tries to happen, it breaks records.
Yeah,
just saying.
Well, but this isn't even cancel culture. This is just boycotting. This is just good old fashioned boycotting.
So, for one, that's one thing I get a chuckle out of is that, their worst enemy, Xbox, they'll be funding. So I think as far as market shift, like Retri was pointing out, that's going to be the big barometer for me. And I'm wondering how much that is going to shift by the second half of the console cycle going into the next gen. I think personally with COD, I think with Microsoft having quality first party games coming out on top of that, and getting all these past Call of Duties added to Game Pass, I think it's going to be a no-brainer that you're going to gain a few million more subscribers at the very least.
I agree. definitely.
Now I don't know the number necessarily, but I would imagine three to four.
Remember
maybe.
what they said in court about the $2 million number? That the FTC said that technically Microsoft could take COD away from PlayStation altogether with just 2 million more subscribers to Game Pass. Not that I say that's happening, but that's how big of a deal even 2 million more subscribers are, because they crunch the numbers.
Yeah, because you look at it, right? And I had to run the numbers for somebody on Twitter the other day because they're just very stupid.
I did the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah. It was probably the same post. I think I saw you on there.
I think it was. Yeah. They were only about like 2 billion off on the
they were only
they were close.
Really bad at basic math. I mean, I know I have an
Yes.
engineering degree, which I like to pretend means something, but anyway, you look at the numbers, right? And we're getting really close to a point where Game Pass by itself is making enough money to fund one of those $200 million PlayStation games every single month. Yes. Now, obviously, that's not how it works, right? You don't drop 200 million at one time. It comes out over the course of the entire development of the game, because most of it, honestly, is going into paying staff, which is good because the people who actually do the work. So, but looking at you, every studio in Hollywood, dinguses. But they're getting to a point where, they're going to be able to effectively fund a Last of Us size game every single month. That's not probably what's going to happen, because they're going to be like Double Fine.
They can certainly do the 4. They can certainly do the 4 that we were promised a year.
Guaranteed,
one a quarter.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's happening, and they could be massive budgets,
right? And we're going to see this number is going to get a little bit more confusing, because right now the math that me and you ran the other day was based exclusively off of Game Pass.
I did it on the low tier too. I did my math all based on the $10 on $10.
Yeah.
And it was 3 billion.
Yeah.
So there you go.
But so if you, because it's going to get a little bit more confusing now with Core being part of Game Pass, because that's going to basically just mean that all the money that they were making from Xbox Live Gold is going to be included into the amount that they were making off of Game Pass. But yeah, I think people also need to understand that both on the PlayStation and the Xbox side of thing, when they're running these numbers, the amount of money that they make off of Game Pass, or the amount of money that they make off of their first party games is not the biggest amount of income they make. Like, they're also making tons and tons of money off of third party sales. They're making tons and tons of money off of microtransactions.
That's the big boy.
So we're looking at really just the very surface level. Like, there's so many other things that go into funding these things. But even so, we're at a point where Game Pass is wildly profitable and doing extremely well. And I think it's hilarious that there are still people on certain podcasts that I won't name, because we don't do that here, who are like, it doesn't make sense. The math just doesn't make sense. And then you look at it and you're like, okay, so, and you pull out the whiteboard and you write the numbers down and you're like, they can fund a Last of Us every single month.
Yep.
Every single month they can fund a Last of Us. They're not doing that, but they could, right? Like, that's how
they wanted to go crazy. If they wanted to break even, they could do that.
Yeah.
It's because then you get the MTX, you get everything else. Like you said, that's one factor out of many for income coming into Microsoft. And it's not even the biggest.
Call of Duty and everything is in there, and once they add the live subscriptions to it, I really do think that we end up in a situation where, I mean, just adding the live subscriptions alone, because there's tons of people who are on that level, I think we're going to see that number balloon. I think we're going to see it nearly double, because the last number we got was,
look what happened with Sony.
I forget
before they combined them, they were 3 million guys.
Yeah, I forget what that when that number was given to us, the 25 million. But there were people who were saying that was outdated at the time that we got that, and I think it was over a year ago. And so once you add Call of Duty on top of that, once you add Xbox Live on top of that, I think that we're very quickly looking at like 40-50 million in that, like, really fast.
Yeah,
I might be crazy.
I could see that.
I'm imagining them having such a quality games hitting, like I said, the value proposition of Game Pass on top of having a super affordable entry with S and such. I'm just wondering how well that's going to turn around. And then again, when we talk about the situation they have now with the core and everything else with Game Pass that they're offering, all of that, as we all know, is just set for people to move to Game Pass Ultimate.
100%.
I'm just wondering how many people are going to move to Game Pass Ultimate, and it's going to shift because of that. We're going to see a bit of fluff anyway, by the way, for Game Pass numbers because of that, like PS Plus did. with them moving from gold to that.
Well,
So
I mean, I
wondering.
can't say. I want to add some context to what you're saying because you said fluff, but think about this for a second. World of Warcraft, people still pay a monthly subscription for that, and Blizzard makes millions per month. Just imagine, and I think it's $10. Please, somebody in the chat who plays WoW.
I think it's 15. Actually,
it's 15.
Is it 15? Okay,
Yeah.
so there you go. It's
Yeah.
$15.
That's,
PC Game Pass is $10, right? Is there a world, gentlemen, where Microsoft converts the WoW players over?
in the world.
The
only way for that to happen is if they bring WoW to console, and I don't think they're
which I
gonna
think
put
they should
that to
do.
the- which they
I agree.
absolutely,
Not today,
absolutely
but
should do.
sometime in the future.
In the
I think they
future,
should.
yeah.
I think that would be a good way to combat the Final Fantasy 14 on PlayStation thing. Which honestly, they should also just give Final Fantasy 14 on Xbox. But
They absolutely should.
But also, like, if Square gets bought by PlayStation, that'll never happen. So
WoW,
we'll see.
but like you said, WoW is something that's more for the future. Now they got to figure out how to get that over to console. And from what I've heard from a buddy of mine, is he seems to think it's impossible. I don't know about that.
It's not.
I don't
said the same thing about Age. Forever they said that about
They
Age.
sure did. So I don't doubt what ingenuity they have. They can figure it out.
Absolutely, worst case scenario, you could just port it to the Xbox and then make it so you have to play it with a mouse and keyboard on your Xbox.
Exactly.
Absolute worst case scenario. And even outside of that, like, there's so many MMOs that already play on different consoles with just the controller. Like Final Fantasy 14 has a bunch of skills and stuff. If the problem is like there's just so many different things you have to click on or whatever, then first of all, World of Warcraft consistently does things where, like, every time there's a new expansion, they squish that number down so that you don't have to have 17,000 taskbars. And then the other part is like, like if they can do it for Final Fantasy 14, they can do it for World of Warcraft.
I agree with that 100%. But like you said, at the worst case scenario, it's just enable where you have to use a keyboard and mouse. But even beyond that, so when they get WoW, I think, boom, just to the question you asked, if they and when they can get WoW converted over to console, I think that's when we're going to see a crazy spike as well. But the problem is because of the way WoW is set up, and we talked about this past week on the Xbox Infinite podcast with Doom Cutie, because she plays it, and the way it's set up is they wouldn't want to take away the revenue they're getting from subs from WoW itself now by throwing it straight into Game Pass. That's a lot of lost money right there. So that's
it might
the problem.
it might take so long for it to happen that the price might be there and might be equal what it was.
True.
Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like if you're talking like 5-6 years from now, we don't know. Like PC Game Pass could be $15. It's not the craziest thing. They've already doubled it before.
Right,
it used to be $5. You know what I mean? So I could see a world where it could be $15. So you're not really losing revenue.
Right.
You're
or
maybe
maybe they can do some big brain move where they put that into the subscription service, but you have to pay an extra smaller fee, maybe $5 a month extra.
Right. There's a lot of subscription services that do that now, where like you can get Hulu, but then it's like, do you also want the Showtime package?
Exactly.
So
right.
I think that wouldn't help with the it's too complicated argument.
Confusing, right? Yeah. Exactly.
But it's definitely something they could do. Like, it's not impossible.
You could also take a loss on it, guys. Let's remember, once you get trapped into the ecosystem, and if you stay there for life, you're gonna make a lot more money off of you on other games than MTX, right?
Right.
So there's you could take a upfront loss.
It's so many ways. Like I smile when I think about the future for this, because I get excited for that type of stuff. I love speculation when it comes to future games, right? But it's so many W's that Microsoft has to collect here if they play their cards right. It's so many W's. I'm talking about from unused IP to having.
Yes. Oh, dude.
Yeah.
That's a bone of contention too, because like we had King David on our members only special, and he is of the mind that he is really thinking that they're not gonna get rid of the Call of Duty turnout annual, which he's probably right. That's just so much money.
No, I think he's wrong.
Is there a possibility of? Well, I'm glad that you said that. I mean,
Warzone exists. So they don't need.
I agree.
Yearly
I don't think they need it.
I
want my blurs.
He's right 98% of the time, but that's still.
I want a new. Does anybody
StarCraft
here want a new prototype?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Like
100%
absolutely.
Like we've been saying, how many times have we said on this show, Microsoft needs their own superhero game?
Yeah.
If you could bring a current gen prototype, that would be ridiculous.
And then they got true crime. Boom.
Yeah,
they got other ways. They got so many other ways. They can
now they own Tenchu.
They own
Now, I don't know
Tenshu.
if they.
Yes,
I don't
bring
know
back
how
Tenshu.
far that goes. Like, do they own proper Tenshu proper, or is that still from software that owns it though?
That's a good
That's
question.
what
I
I'm
don't
I'm pretty
know.
sure.
It
I'm
was
pretty
on the
sure
list.
It was. I know it was
I
on
feel
the
like
list.
From.
I mean,
feel like From
Jez
has
already
it,
said they're bringing back StarCraft.
Yeah.
So
Which
we
is,
know at
StarCraft
least
3 they're working on
them
right now.
themselves are
Phil
doing.
himself
bringing back.
said that. Phil himself
Yeah.
said.
Well,
he
but
wants to come
they
back, so
also
I think that's a foregone conclusion.
A fun piece of information to note here is that Jez didn't know specifically if it was going to be StarCraft 3 or if it was going to be something else in the StarCraft universe. Which honestly, I think I would prefer the latter.
Yeah,
I would hope it would be StarCraft Ghost, just because it's a game.
I just want StarCraft Ghost. I think that would break the internet.
Oh my god, yeah, that would.
We never
Absolutely.
got a chance to get. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Cool. They have a lot of deep IP. I mean,
This is gonna be, like I said, folks. We can't do. We did our victory lap because they beat Lina Khan multiple times. The deal's getting done. It's not gonna get done. It's gonna get done. It's gonna take a little bit longer. I'm a little disappointed about that because obviously would have been great to have that deal signed today. But the CMA is working begrudgingly, whether they want to admit it or not, with Microsoft to get it done because they were going to lose the appeal to CAT, and ultimately the deal is going to get done. Everyone in the world. I mean, I put it in the DM earlier. New Zealand anonymously has approved the deal. So that's big deal. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they were going to do it without them anyway, but another one added to the list. Listen, real quick, I just have to write. Joe Dunmore drops a channel member chat. He says, just pulled the trigger on Diablo 4. Had to put down Tears of the Kingdom for a while. Listen, that's a great purchase, but I still think it's coming in August. If this deal gets done before August, it's going to be one of the big ones. I think that Microsoft is setting themselves
Imagine
up.
right in time for a Gamescom.
Would be, and by the way, it's been confirmed. We didn't talk about it today. I think we'll talk about it maybe on Thursday's show. Not only is Phil Spencer going to be at Gamescom, it has been confirmed that it's going to be the biggest Xbox presence they've ever had at a Gamescom. So think about that.
After seeing what they pulled, the numbers they pulled at this past E3-esque show.
Yes.
What, 92 million views.
Sorry we didn't get a chance to talk about that either. That's another one I want to talk about because Sarah Bond put some stuff out there, and they broke records never before broken for an Xbox showcase. Again, we will cover that on Thursday. We also have Ballatone says Minecraft on PlayStation is already paying for Starfield. I love it. The slanderous. But let me catch up on the super chats, gentlemen, and then we will get everyone out of here. We have Retro. Let's see. No, okay, I got that one. Raiden Blade drops a £5 super chat and says, as Lulu stated, Microsoft's offer to them were options than whatever ABK would have ever offered SIE. And that all ABK games in their service day and date. Yeah, well, they had a shot at that and they effed up. So that's just the way. Too bad for Sony's bargaining. Again, they bet on Lina Khan and the CMA's collusion to kibosh the deal, and it blew up in Jim Ryan's face. And you know what? Now you get what you get. Sorry. Jax82 drops a very generous $5 super chat. Says, I'm good with PlayStation Plus Essential games. I got Alan Wake Remastered and Destiny 2 and the PlayStation Plus games collection before they shut it down. So I'm good. Yeah, I mean, listen, some of the games they put in there are really fantastic, but they don't put day and date, and I think that's a big problem. Highlander 001 drops a $5 super chat and says, I just got my Starfield headset and controller. I'm using it with my ROG Ally. They look like they were made for it. They absolutely do look. They look perfect together. Trey Bone drops an additional $2 super chat and says, Jim, the type who would sabotage himself on purpose. I mean, he bet. He took a crazy man's bet and he lost. Let's see. Chris R drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, I know Bethesda's hands off, but I think Microsoft has a lot of systematic changes they need to be made at Activision. Yeah. Bobby K is at the top of the list. He's gone. That dude is going to take his $400 million and go buy an island.
There's a lot of cultural things that need to be fixed with ABK, and it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take a lot of work.
Time.
Yeah.
People are going to get
But-
angry because it's not going to happen within weeks.
Yeah, oh
This
no,
is
I
gonna be a
guarantee
long
you
transitional time.
there's going to
I
be
think.
at least one more disgusting thing that happens at ABK post acquisition,
Probably.
and Xbox will be blamed for it, and we'll be like, okay.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering how long it'll be before we get old Bobby up out of there. I don't think it'll be instant.
I
It's
would
not gonna be
imagine he's
instant.
going to hang around for a little bit because of
You
the
have to have those
transition.
transitional periods. You have to when it's something this big.
I hope
It
that they
stinks,
just have
but
their round table, and then they pull a lever, and he gets ejected out of the room.
Yeah.
That'd be great. I'd love that.
along with the board. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Well, the
see.
board won't be there because they'll be bought out.
They'll be all bought out. Yeah, absolutely.
But you never know. Rich can always find other jobs. You know what I mean? I wouldn't be surprised if.
Well, look what Warren Buffett did the other day.
they
Did you see what he
get
did? He notified the SEC that he was buying the remainder 1.4 million shares of Activision Blizzard King, and he paid $1 billion something for it, and he's probably going to make 5 times that amount of money.
Oh yeah,
when the deal
Man,
sells.
can I tell you how weird it is? Because I used to work in stock trading a little bit, and how weird it was where people would call in and they'd be like, well, Warren Buffett's doing this, but they would also they would do it for him and they would do it for Elon Musk, and they'd be like, well, they seem to know what they're doing, so I'm just going to do whatever they're doing. I'm like, whatever, all right, it's your money, dude.
Wow. Yeah, well, I mean,
So
people
funny.
trends, absolutely. Highlander 001 drops a $5 super chat and says, does the new contract for Call of Duty with PlayStation, does that include parity? Yes, it absolutely does. Microsoft paid to upgrade all of Call of Duty servers. What's that tell you? That tells you that Call of Duty is important, and the fact that you can play these games on Xbox, and you don't have to, and you can't play it on PlayStation, tells you that Xbox puts its players first. And you'll get some people to cry about that, like, why can't I play it? Because you don't own Call of Duty. Xbox does, and they had to pay to turn those servers on, so they're not going to do it for Sony players. And you know what, like I said, there's a big old Xbox you can go and buy and play on your $5,000 rig. Drawn TJ says, get Take Two after dropping a $2 super chat, and poor Destin Legary said that on the Iron Lords podcast, and he got a lot of S. We also have Jacob Novik drops an additional $10 super chat and says, Destin said on the Iron Lords podcast that he thinks Microsoft buys Take Two in the future. And let me tell you, it was said by a French creator, sorry, I forgot his name, that Take Two was plan B if ABK failed. Wow. I mean, they know Strauss and Phil are good friends, man. And he was the first one to come up and say, no, this is good for gaming. So there's a relationship there. Dreadful Sean drops a very generous $10 super chat and says, Lulu mentioned Sony got a better split with Microsoft around the time CMA blocked. I think Sony is already in talks to back out of or rework the current deal. That's confirmed. They are reworking the 2023 deal as we speak. Sony will not have the marketing because Jim Ryan said so. He does not want to pay for the millions and millions and millions of dollars for the marketing of a game that's going to be known as an Xbox first-party game. He's backing out of the deal, and that is why they're going to have the marketing.
Thanks, Jim.
And that's why it's going to be in Game Pass in November. Yeah. And that sets up my again, I said it before, and I don't have to reiterate it. From August to November, Microsoft is going to see a substantial jump in subscribers to Xbox Game Pass because they're going to have 4 back-to-back AAA bangers that are going to move the industry's head away from PlayStation. Let's see. He goes on to say, I think Sony is already in talks to back out. Yep. It says Call of Duty deal. They get 70-30 now. Probably. They won't have to do the 80-20, which is, again, it's more money for Sony. It's great. But listen, let's get everyone out of here. We had over 800 people tune in to today's show. If you are new and finding the channel for the first time, please consider subscribing. We are now on the march to 14K. And with your help, we can get there. Let's sell your brand. Retri, obviously, not only do you do a show on Sunday called The Gamers Council with Web Dave like you did, but you also have your YouTube channel that we're trying to build and get to 1K yourself. You got Game Pass _daily, the best place for anything and everything Game Pass related. Please tell people where they can subscribe, and more importantly, reach out to you on social media.
Sure. Yeah, you can subscribe to me right here. Send. There you go. There's my channel.
Excellent.
All right, now click on it.
Click on it, sub,
yeah.
hit the bell icon.
I would appreciate it.
I don't know about y'all, but
video.
I thought he could have asked that a little nicer personally.
Ignore Umbra. Everyone else does. Listen, you want to follow me, Game Pass _daily on Twitter, Game Pass Daily right there. I put it on the YouTubes. And of course, with Web Dave, we just had our special episode with King David and Silent Cypher is now out for everyone to listen to and watch. That was a channel members only show, but it's out there now. So if you guys want to watch that, I know a lot of you watched it on my Twitter feed because we accidentally forgot to shut it off. So I appreciate it. We got a lot of people watching it through there, but that probably won't happen in the future. But yeah, guys, I appreciate this community. Thank you, Boom, for having me today. It was a great show, great discussion as usual. I love chopping it up with you, Daniel, and Umbra, and look forward to doing it again next week. So
absolutely. Infinite Umbra, sell your brand, brother. Talk about the fix each and every Thursday. You and Danny chop it up, not only talking about games, and there's a lot to talk about, but you also talk about pop culture, movies. Well, it's not really going on in the movies other than a strike, but there's anime, and obviously we
still talk of old movies.
Older films. Actually, The Flash just launched onto digital. I was tempted to buy it with Microsoft points, but I hate giving
Jeez,
Warner
already
Brothers.
on digital already.
Yeah, because it flopped. It flopped terribly.
It's real bad. Real bad.
Yeah, I've heard.
So I'll wait for it to go on to Max before me and Mrs. Boone get a chance to watch that. We're still enjoying our Korean dramas as we do. But sell your brand, brother. Talk about the best place for real, honest content that you and Danny do each and every week.
Yes, absolutely. So first off, today was a really good discussion. Thank you all in the chat for being here with us and holding us down. 800 people. That's pretty impressive, I would say. Yeah,
it is.
And of course, you all can find me Infinite Umbra or Umbra Infinite on Twitter. You'll find me either way. On Thursday night at 8:00 Eastern is The Fix. So come through, support myself and Danny. I've already put our link to the channel right there, which is to me, but whatever. And of course, on Fridays, I have the Xbox Infinite podcast. I say it's named after me. Risk It tries to lie and say it's not. And you all can come there 8:00 Eastern as well. This Thursday, so far, we have John Wolf joining us. I'm trying to see who else I can get.
That's so weird. We got him too.
Oh, do you?
Guys stealing our answers.
You just copying us, huh?
That's what I was just thinking about you.
Yeah, maybe I should invite
John
you.
Wolf making his
make it hard for you
rounds.
there. Yeah. No, but yeah. So far, we got John, our brother John Wolf, joining us, and might find another guest. Maybe we'll see what happens, and we'll figure out a few things to talk with you guys. And like I said, if you all have not done so, the link is in the chat. Please subscribe to us and come by and hear us out.
Well, listen, brother, we love having you a part of this show each and every week and love what you're doing over at The Fix with Danny. And speaking of Danny, brother, please sell your brand. Talk about the best place for anything and everything on your YouTube channel, where you are currently rewriting the DCU EU and actually doing a better job than what they did with The Flash. Also, where can people reach out to you
Doesn't
on
take
social
much.
media?
I know. It's a low bar.
That's terrible. It's a low bar.
Yeah, so you can of course find me on Twitter at Daniel J McG, or on my personal YouTube channel of Daniel McG, which I'll drop in the chat because everyone else is. It's what the cool kids is doing. I just put out a video recently talking about all the FTC stuff, sort of breaking it down and what I think it means for the future. I'd really appreciate it if you went and gave it a shot. I'm pretty happy with it. I think it turned out well. And I'm currently working on a video breaking down my thoughts on all of the casting so far that we've gotten for Superman Legacy, which has included some very interesting choices. So that should be up in the next couple of days. And I think you'll really enjoy it. But yeah, I'll leave you with this. Right now, Mr. Beast, his main channel is at 168 million subscribers.
Whoa.
So at any time, Game Pass is still only a fraction of what Mr. Beast makes every day.
Isn't that crazy?
God.
Isn't that just wow?
I wonder
mean,
what the track record for or not track record, but the trajectory of like when Game Pass will start like taking over some of his smaller channels. Like, does Game Pass ever get to a point where it passes Mr. Beast, the Beast incarnate, Mr. B?
yeah, dude, I don't know.
What must his YouTube revenue must look like? Just
Well,
off
because
that
here's the
alone?
thing: is he's got his main
got
channel
multiple.
168 million, and then all of his other ones are like 36.3, 27. The dude's cooking. Dude's cooking right now.
Yeah.
Sheesh.
Well, good on him, brother. He knows he's making the money. Good.
Yeah. So
good.
basically, go and subscribe to me because I want to take out Mr. Beast. Then go and subscribe to the Fixed. Then come here and subscribe also. I think that we can take him.
Yes.
Get us to 160 million,
All of us
family.
combined.
I'm pretty confident we
going
can
to
take
give
Mr.
him
Beast
a run
any day
for
now.
his money, Mr. Beast. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, real quick, another super chat came in from our good friend Gamer by Choice. Drops a generous $5 super chat and says, "Isn't it funny? The FTC and CMA said Microsoft backs out of the deal, but Sony is the one trying to get out of the Call of Duty deal. That is hilarious to me. Great show. Yeah, it is funny that they want out of the deal." That they fought so hard to get, ultimately not get anything. But
Actually, hey, can I say one more thing?
sure, of course.
I'm currently at 699 subscribers. Can I get literally one person
Just need
to go over?
Yeah, those even numbers, man.
Subscribe.
You love to hit the even 700 would be good.
Yeah, that would be kind of cool. Listen, folks, if you like the banter, if you like the commentary, everyone's information is easily clickable. When this show goes on demand, you click 2 clicks once to get there, once to sub, and if you're being generous, click another time for the bell icon. It's really we all work hard here, and we all want to see everyone succeed. And hitting that 1K for a lot of people, like Daniel, and of course, and like Retro, it is a big deal. It really does, and your support really does mean a lot. So. Big thank you to everyone. Again, shout out to all the super chats. My God, there were just so many of them. I'm glad I got to every one of them. Thank you for the generosity and the continued support of Double Barrel Gaming. And of course, folks, I'm going to close out the show with something that's important to me. Hopefully one day it'll be important to you. And that's something that my dad taught me when we were kids. And he would say, Craig, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, son. I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone, and we'll see you next week on the newest episode of the Xbox Factor Podcast.